I never imagined that the computer I'd saved 3 years for would become the catalyst that destroyed my family. Standing in my empty bedroom, staring at the bare desk where my $3,800 custom built dream PC once sat, I felt something break inside me. My parents had sold it while I was at work handing the cash to my sister Madison for her emergency shopping needs. That was the moment I realized I wasn't their daughter anymore. I was just their ATM. My name is Goldie, and at 24 years old, I thought I had my life figured out. Working as a software developer at a growing tech startup in Denver, I made the conscious choice to continue living with my parents. Not because I couldn't afford my own place, but because I had bigger dreams that required sacrifice and patience. For 3 long years, I'd been meticulously saving every extra penny from my salary and overtime hours. While my coworkers went out for happy hours and weekend trips, I packed lunches and worked extra shifts. My goal was specific: build the ultimate custom PC that would serve both my demanding development work and my budding side business in graphic design. The morning I finally completed my build remains vivid in my memory. Each component had been researched for months, waited for during sales, and purchased with hard-earned money. The RTX 4090 graphics card alone cost more than most people's entire computers. The Intel i9 processor hummed with power I'd only dreamed of. 64 gigabytes of RAM meant I could run multiple virtual machines while rendering complex designs. The custom cooling system kept everything running smooth and silent, its RGB lights casting a soft glow across my desk. My younger sister Madison had just turned 22, and her life looked vastly different from mine. While I rose at 5:30 each morning to commute through Denver traffic, she slept until noon. Her college degree in communications gathered dust, while she insisted the job market wasn't offering positions worthy of her talents. Our parents, Dorothy and Frank, never questioned this logic. Madison's just finding herself," my mother would say, sliding another $50 bill across the breakfast table to her younger daughter. "Not everyone moves at the same pace as you, Goldie." I bit my tongue as always. $800 left my bank account each month for rent, despite living in my childhood bedroom. I bought groceries for the entire family, cooked dinners when I got home from work, and paid for the streaming services everyone enjoyed. Madison contributed nothing but complaints about how tough life was for her generation. The day my world started unraveling began like any other. I'd been coding for 9 straight hours, debugging a particularly stubborn authentication system. My shoulders ached and my eyes burned, but satisfaction coursed through me as the final test passed. This project would look impressive in my portfolio. Family dinner in 20 minutes. My mother called up the stairs. "Madison's coming over with exciting news." Madison lived just 15 minutes away in an apartment my parents subsidized, claiming she needed independence to flourish. She arrived 45 minutes late as usual, carrying an expensive bottle of wine she definitely hadn't paid for herself. "Yeah, sorry," she breezed in designer sunglasses, perched atop freshly highlighted hair. Traffic was absolutely insane. We sat down to the pot roast I'd prepared in the slow cooker that morning before work. Madison dominated the conversation, describing her latest networking opportunity at an upscale lounge where she'd met some incredible connections. Translation: she went drinking with other unemployed 20-somethings who had enabling parents. And the most amazing thing happened," she gushed, waving her wineglass enthusiastically. "This woman said she might know someone who's looking for a social media consultant. Can you believe it? My ship might finally be coming in." "That's wonderful, sweetheart," our father beamed, raising his own glass. "I knew your patience would pay off." I focused on my meal, calculating how many hours of overtime the wine Madison brought had cost. Probably one of the bottles from the collection our parents kept for special occasions. Everything was special when it came to Madison. "Goldie, aren't you gonna congratulate your sister?" My mother's tone carried that familiar edge of disappointment. Congratulations on maybe knowing someone who might know someone who could possibly have a job, I said, attempting a smile. That's really great, Madison. Madison's eyes narrowed slightly. She'd always been skilled at detecting even the faintest sarcasm. Her grip on the wine glass tightened as she gestured more wildly, describing the designer outfit she'd need for her hypothetical interview. That's when it happened. The crystal glass tilted too far, sending a cascade of deep red wine directly onto my work laptop, which I'd foolishly left open on the side table to monitor a deployment. The screen flickered once twice, then died with a faint electrical pop. Dark liquid seeped between the keys, while the acrid smell of fried circuits filled the air. Oops. Madison giggled, clearly tipsy. Sorry about that, Goldie. But hey, don't you work in tech? Can't you just fix it? I stared at the destroyed machine, calculating the loss. $2,000, months of saved data, active client projects. My hands trembled as I carefully moved the laptop away from the spreading wine puddle. Madison, that's my work computer, I said, fighting to keep my voice level. I need it for my job. This is serious. Whoa, oh, come on, my father interjected. It was obviously an accident. No use crying over spilled wine, right? He chuckled at his own joke. Frank's right, my mother added, already moving to comfort Madison, who had started to tear up. These things happen. I'm sure your company will understand. I say my company. I stood up, laptop dripping wine onto the hardwood floor. This is my personal laptop. The company doesn't provide equipment. This is coming out of my pocket. Madison's tears evaporated instantly. Well, maybe if you didn't leave your stuff lying around everywhere, accidents wouldn't happen. This house is so cluttered with all your computer junk. My computer junk. The equipment I used to earn the money that kept this household running. I looked between my parents, waiting for one of them to acknowledge the severity of what had just happened. Instead, my mother was rubbing Madison's back while my father poured her another glass of wine. I think you owe Goldie an apology, Madison, my mother said gently, and maybe you could contribute a little something toward a new laptop when you get that consulting job. When, not if, always when with Madison. I'll think about it. Madison sniffed, shooting me a look that said she absolutely would not think about it. Later that night, I sat at my desk staring at my new custom PC. It had never felt more important. With my laptop gone, this machine was now my lifeline, the only thing standing between me and total professional disaster. I ran my fingers along the tempered glass case, watching the components pulse with soft light inside. Tomorrow, I'd have to explain to my team why I couldn't access certain files. I'd have to figure out how to recover client work from backups. I'd have to dip into my emergency fund to replace the laptop, setting my financial goals back months. But at least I had this, my dream machine. 3 years of sacrifice made tangible in silicon and steel. I should have known Madison's envious glances meant trouble. I should have recognized the predatory way she'd started asking about its value. But I was still naive enough to believe that family meant something. I was about to learn exactly how wrong I was. The loss of my laptop transformed my carefully balanced life into a precarious juggling act. Every morning, I'd wake up an hour earlier to ensure all my work was properly synced to my desktop PC before leaving for the office. Every evening, I'd rush home praying traffic wouldn't delay my access to the machine that now held my entire professional life. My dream PC became more than just a powerful computer. It was my lifeline. The freelance graphic design work I'd been cultivating during evenings and weekends suddenly exploded with opportunity. A tech startup in California wanted a complete visual identity package. A local restaurant chain needed menu redesigns. Each project meant extra income, but more importantly, they were building my path toward independence. $10,000 for a logo. Madison's voice made me jump. I hadn't heard her enter my room. That's insane. I could draw a logo in 5 minutes. I minimized my client invoice quickly, but not before she'd seen the numbers. It's not just a logo, Madison. It's a complete brand package with 40 different deliverables. And what are you doing in my room? She wandered around, touching things with the casual disregard of someone who'd never worked for anything. Her fingers traced along my second monitor, leaving smudges on the screen. Mom wanted me to tell you dinner's ready. Nice setup, by the way. Must have cost a fortune. 3 years of savings, I said, watching her circle my desk like a shark. Please don't touch the equipment. God, you're so uptight. She picked up my graphics tablet, waving the stylus around. How much is all this worth anyway? Like, if you sold it? Warning bells chimed in my head. Why would I sell it? I need it for work. Just curious. She set the tablet down crooked, and I had to resist the urge to immediately straighten it. You know it's kind of selfish having all this expensive stuff when your family is struggling. Struggling? I couldn't hide my disbelief. Mom and Dad both have good jobs. You live in a subsidized apartment and don't pay for anything. Who exactly is struggling? Her expression hardened the mask of casual interest slipping. You don't know everything, Goldie. Mom and Dad protect you from their problems because you're already so stressed all the time. Did you know they had to skip their anniversary dinner because money was tight? I knew for a fact they'd skipped their anniversary dinner because Madison had called with another emergency that required immediate funds. But arguing with her was pointless. She'd already rewritten history in her mind. That night at dinner, I announced my decision to install a lock on my bedroom door. I'm dealing with sensitive client data now, I explained, pushing food around my plate. Some of these companies have strict NDAs. I need to ensure their information is secure. The silence that followed felt heavy enough to crush me. Oh, a lock. My mother's voice carried hurt and confusion. Goldie, we're your family. We don't lock doors in this house. It's not about trust, I tried to explain. It's about professional responsibility. I have expensive equipment and confidential information that needs to be protected. Protected from who? My father's tone had turned cold. Your sister. Your parents are we thieves now. Madison sat quietly, an innocent expression plastered across her face. She'd mastered the art of letting others fight her battles. Of course not. But people come and go from this house. Madison brings friends over. The cleaning lady comes twice a month. I just need to be careful. The cleaning lady has worked for us for 15 years, my mother said. And Madison's friends are always supervised. I think you're being paranoid, sweetie. Maybe she's just showing off, Madison suggested sweetly. You know, making sure everyone knows how expensive and important her stuff is. I installed the lock anyway, using my lunch break the next day to have a locksmith come while everyone was out. The brass deadbolt looked out of place on my childhood bedroom door, but its presence brought me peace of mind. That peace lasted exactly 72 hours. I came home from work to find my mother standing in the hallway with a locksmith, the same one I'd hired, looking uncomfortable. Oh, good you're home, she said brightly. I was just having this removed. Madison felt so hurt by it, Goldie. She thinks you don't trust her. Wait, Mom, stop. I placed myself between the locksmith and my door. I'm paying rent here. I have the right to secure my space. Rights. My mother's brightness cracked. This is our home. You're our daughter. We don't talk about rights in this family. The locksmith shifted nervously. Ma'am, I'm going to need authorization from whoever installed this lock before I can remove it. I installed it, I said firmly, and I don't authorize its removal. My mother's face flushed. Then I'll find someone who will remove it. This is my house, young lady. That you pay for with my rent money, I shot back, immediately regretting it. The words hung in the air like a challenge. My mother's expression cycled through hurt anger and something else I couldn't identify. Behind her, I caught a glimpse of Madison at the top of the stairs, watching with barely concealed satisfaction. That night, I heard sounds outside my door, soft scratching metal against metal. I crept to the door and peered through the keyhole. Madison knelt there trying different keys from a massive ring, her face screwed up in concentration. I yanked the door open, causing her to fall backward. "What are you doing?" "I dropped an earring," she said smoothly, holding up empty hands. "Think it might have rolled under your door." "With a key ring." "Oh, these." She jangled the keys. "I was organizing Mom's junk drawer and figured I'd check if any of these old keys fit anywhere. You know, for fun." For fun. Breaking into my room was her idea of entertainment. The next morning, I called my best friend Natalie during my commute. We'd known each other since high school, and she'd watched Madison's entitled behavior escalate over the years. "You need to be careful," Natalie warned. "I saw Madison at Brewster's bar last weekend. She was drunk and running her mouth about you." My stomach tightened. What was she saying? Something about how you're sitting on a gold mine while she can barely afford groceries. She kept telling people she knew where to get quick cash if she really needed it. "Goldie, I think she's planning something." I gripped the steering wheel tighter. "She wouldn't dare. Mom and Dad would never forgive her." Natalie's laugh was bitter. "When has that ever stopped them from taking her side?" She was right, of course. Every childhood memory of unfair treatment, every dismissed concern, every excuse made for Madison's behavior came flooding back. The time she'd sold my bicycle and claimed it was stolen. The birthday money that mysteriously disappeared from my dresser. The collector's edition books that vanished and reappeared at a used bookstore downtown. Each time my parents had found a way to explain it away. Madison was young. Madison was confused. Madison was going through a tough time. Always Madison, never me. I spent the rest of my workday distracted making stupid mistakes in my code. Carl, my manager, noticed immediately. "Everything okay, Goldie? This isn't like you." I forced a smile. "Just some family stuff. I'm sorry. I'll fix these bugs right away." "Take your time," he said kindly, "but don't let whatever's going on impact your work too much. Big things are coming, and I want you positioned for them." Big things. If only he knew how precariously my professional life balanced on the security of a single machine locked in a bedroom that might not stay locked much longer. That evening, I came home to find my door wide open. My heart hammered as I rushed inside, but everything appeared untouched. My PC hummed quietly, all cables and components exactly where I'd left them. Oh, Goldie." My mother appeared in the doorway. "I hope you don't mind. The door was open when I walked by. Must not have latched properly." I checked the lock. No signs of tampering, but I knew better than to believe in coincidences. Not in this house. "It was locked this morning," I said evenly. Locks malfunction sometimes," she replied with a shrug. "Maybe it's a sign you don't really need it." After she left, I conducted a thorough inventory. Nothing missing, nothing moved. But the message was clear. My lock meant nothing. My privacy was an illusion. My possessions were only mine as long as my family allowed it. I sat at my desk, staring at my monitors. The California startup had just approved my design concepts. Payment would arrive within 2 weeks. Freedom felt tantalizingly close, yet impossibly far. On my second screen, an email notification popped up from Carl. The subject line made my heart skip. "Confidential major project opportunity." I opened it with trembling fingers. A $50,000 contract. Lead designer position. The catch: I needed to present a comprehensive portfolio in 1 week. The kind of presentation that would require every ounce of processing power my dream machine could deliver. As I began outlining my presentation strategy, I made a mental note to back up everything to the cloud, multiple times, in different locations. Something was coming. I could feel it in the way Madison smiled at dinner, in the calculating looks my parents exchanged when they thought I wasn't watching, in the shadow of my mother standing in my doorway that night, silently observing as I worked. I just didn't know that in less than a week, I'd wake up to find my entire future stolen and sold for the price of a shopping spree. The aftermath of finding my door mysteriously open marked a turning point in my family's dynamics. Without the lock's protection, I became hyper-vigilant, creating elaborate routines to monitor my space. I started taking photos of my desk arrangement each morning, memorizing the exact position of every cable and peripheral. "You're being paranoid," my father said over breakfast, watching me check my laptop bag for the third time. "This obsession with your computer stuff isn't healthy." I wanted to tell him about the keyring incident, about Madison's drunken bragging about the uncomfortable feeling of being watched in my own home. Instead, I spread peanut butter on my toast and counted down the days until I could afford to leave. Work became my sanctuary. Carl had pulled me aside to discuss the upcoming project in detail. "This client specifically requested someone with your skill set," he explained, eyes bright with excitement. "Nail this presentation and you're looking at a promotion to senior developer, maybe even team lead." The opportunity felt surreal. At 24, I'd be one of the youngest senior developers in the company's history. The salary increase would fast-track my independence plans by at least a year. I threw myself into preparation with renewed vigor. Every spare moment was spent crafting the perfect portfolio pieces, fine-tuning animations, and optimizing user experiences. My PC performed flawlessly, handling complex rendering tasks that would have crashed lesser machines. Madison's behavior, meanwhile, grew increasingly erratic. She started showing up at the house during my work hours, claiming she needed to borrow things from her old room. I'd installed a small security camera hidden in a decorative plant, syncing it to my phone so I could monitor my space remotely. What I captured made my blood run cold. Tuesday, 2:15 in the afternoon, Madison entering my room with my mother. They stood at my desk for 12 minutes, Dorothy pointing at various components while Madison took photos with her phone. Wednesday, 11:30 in the morning. Madison alone sitting in my chair attempting to guess my password. She tried variations of family birthdays, pet names, and common phrases for nearly an hour before giving up in frustration. Thursday, 3:45 in the afternoon. Both parents in my room, Frank handling my graphics tablet, while Dorothy examined the cables behind my tower. I watched in real time from my office bathroom, fighting the urge to drive home immediately. That evening, I confronted them at dinner. "I know you've been in my room while I'm at work." The silence stretched uncomfortably before Madison laughed. "Of course we have. Mom needed to vacuum, and I was looking for my old yearbook. Why are you being so weird about your bedroom?" "My computer equipment is expensive and delicate. I'd appreciate if you'd ask before entering my space." "Your space?" My father set down his fork with deliberate force. "Let me remind you whose name is on the deed to this house. You rent a room, Goldie. You don't own anything here." The words stung more than they should have. After years of contributing financially while Madison drained their resources, I was still just a tenant in their eyes. "Mom, speaking of rent," my mother added, her tone deceptively casual, "we've been thinking about raising it. Inflation has hit everyone hard, and 800 doesn't go as far as it used to." I nearly choked on my water. "You want to raise my rent? I already pay more than market rate for a bedroom. Plus, I buy all the groceries and pay for utilities." Market rate includes privacy and independence," Madison chimed in. "You get home-cooked meals and family time. That's worth something, right?" The twisted logic made my head spin. I was paying premium prices for the privilege of being disrespected in my childhood home. Friday arrived with an early morning text from Carl. "Client moved up the timeline. Need your presentation Monday instead of Wednesday. Can you deliver?" I assured him I could, though it meant a weekend of intense work. Every hour counted now. I loaded up on energy drinks and prepared for a marathon session. Saturday morning, I woke to find Madison in my room again, this time with 3 of her friends. They surrounded my desk like tourists at a museum exhibit. This is it, Madison announced proudly. The famous setup I told you about. Apparently, it costs more than some cars. Madison, get out. I tried to keep my voice level, despite the rage building in my chest. All of you out, now! Relax, we're just looking. One of her friends, a blonde woman wearing designer athletic gear, reached toward my monitor. Is this the new Apple display? I physically placed myself between them and my equipment. It's not Apple and it's not for touching. Madison, I'm serious. Get them out of here. Mom, God, you're such a freak about your stuff. But she herded her friends toward the door, throwing one last comment over her shoulder. No wonder you don't have a boyfriend. Who'd want to date someone who loves computers more than people? The insult was so juvenile it shouldn't have bothered me. But coupled with the invasion of privacy and the mounting pressure at work, it pushed me dangerously close to my breaking point. I spent Saturday in a coding fugue, channeling my anger into productivity. The presentation came together beautifully, each slide a testament to years of skill development. By Sunday night, I had something I was genuinely proud of. Burning the midnight oil again. My father appeared in my doorway, a mug of coffee in hand. Big presentation tomorrow? This could change everything for me. He entered uninvited, setting the mug on my desk without a coaster. I quickly slid a notebook underneath it. You know, Goldie, sometimes I worry about you. His voice carried that particular tone of false concern he'd perfected over the years. All this time spent alone with machines. It's not natural. It's my career, Dad. It's how I make money. Oh, money isn't everything. He picked up my graphics tablet stylus, twirling it between his fingers. Family is what matters. Madison understands that. Madison, who hadn't contributed a dime to household expenses in 2 years. Madison, who treated family as a personal ATM. That Madison understood family values. I need to finish this, I said gently, taking the stylus from his hand. Thank you for the coffee. He left, but not before delivering one final blow. Your mother and I have been patient with this computer obsession, but patience has limits. Don't forget who keeps a roof over your head. I stared at the closed door, his words echoing. They genuinely believed they were doing me a favor by allowing me to pay them rent. The delusion was so complete, it would have been fascinating if it weren't so personally devastating. That night, I barely slept. Between finalizing my presentation and backing up everything to multiple cloud services, I managed maybe 3 hours of rest. But adrenaline and ambition would carry me through Monday. This was my shot at a future where I called the shots. I left for work at 6 a.m. earlier than usual. The house was silent, everyone still asleep. I paused at my bedroom door, looking back at my setup one last time. Everything was perfect. The presentation was loaded and ready. My future sat on that desk, humming quietly in the early morning darkness. See you tonight, I whispered to my dream machine, pulling the door shut and checking the lock twice. In 8 hours, I delivered the presentation that would change my life. In 12 hours, I'd come home to celebrate with people who, despite everything, were still my family. In 13 hours, I'd start planning my exit strategy with a promotion salary backing me up. At least that's what I thought would happen. The universe, it seemed, had other plans. Plans that involved an empty desk, a shopping spree, and the complete destruction of everything I'd worked toward. But I didn't know that yet. All I knew was that Monday morning felt like the beginning of something new. I should have recognized it for what it really was, the beginning of the end. Monday morning arrived with the kind of pristine Denver sunrise that usually filled me with optimism. I dressed carefully in my best professional outfit, a charcoal blazer that made me feel confident and capable. The presentation materials were loaded on my workstation at the office, but I had also uploaded backups to my personal cloud, accessible only from my home PC. Ready for the big day. Carl greeted me with unusual enthusiasm. The clients are already in conference room A. They flew in from San Francisco just for this. My stomach fluttered with nervous excitement. I'm ready. This is gonna be incredible. That's what I like to hear. You've got 30 minutes to set up. Make us proud, Goldie. I spent those 30 minutes triple-checking every detail. The presentation flowed seamlessly, each transition perfect, every animation smooth. 5 executives sat around the polished conference table, their expressions neutral but attentive. This was my moment. 20 minutes into the presentation, disaster struck. The main server crashed, taking our internal network with it. Error messages flashed across the screen where my carefully crafted slides should have been. I'm so sorry, our IT director rushed in, face flushed with panic. We're experiencing a complete system failure. It could take hours to restore. The lead client checked her watch with poorly concealed irritation. We have flights to catch this afternoon. Is there any way to continue? I have everything backed up on my home system, I said quickly. If you can give me 45 minutes, I can access it remotely and continue the presentation. They exchanged glances before the lead nodded. 45 minutes. We'll take an early lunch. I practically sprinted to my car, calling my mother as I navigated through downtown traffic. No answer. Called my father. Straight to voicemail. Madison wouldn't pick up either, but that was typical. The drive home took 23 minutes. I had 22 minutes to log in, pull up the presentation, and get back to the office. Tight, but doable. I burst through the front door, taking the stairs 2 at a time. Mom, Dad, I need to use my computer for work. Silence greeted me. The house felt different somehow, emptier. I fumbled with my keys, unlocking my bedroom door and pushing it open. The desk was bare. Not just empty, bare. As if my entire setup had been surgically removed. No monitors, no tower, no cables. Even the surge protector had been taken from the wall. Only the desk itself remained its surface, showing the faint outline where my mousepad had lived for months. I stood frozen in the doorway, my brain refusing to process what my eyes reported. This had to be wrong. I was in the wrong room, having a stroke, hallucinating from stress. But no, this was my room, my posters on the walls, my bed with its mismatched pillows, my desk now horrifyingly empty. A single piece of paper sat in the center of the desk, held down by my favorite coffee mug. With trembling hands, I picked it up. Borrowed it for Madison's emergency. We'll explain later. Mom and Dad. Borrowed. As if my $3,800 professional workstation was a cup of sugar. As if my entire career could be casually loaned out without permission. I called my mother again, my fingers shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. This time, she answered on the 3rd ring. Oh, hi, sweetie, what's up? What's up? My voice cracked. Where is my computer? There's no need to yell. Madison needed help, and family helps family. Help with what? Where is my computer, Mom? Madison had some unexpected expenses. She found someone willing to buy computer equipment, and yours was just sitting there while you were at work. The phone slipped from my numb fingers, clattering on the hardwood floor. They sold it. They actually sold my computer while I was at work, using it for work. I retrieved the phone, my mother's voice still chirping from the speaker. Said you'd understand once we explained. She really needed the money, Goldie. You know how tough things have been for her. I'm in the middle of a $50,000 presentation, I said, my voice deadly quiet. The clients are waiting for me. My career depends on this. Oh, I'm sure they'll understand if you need to reschedule. People are very flexible about these things. I hung up and immediately called Madison. She answered on the 5th ring, background noise suggesting a busy shopping center. Hey sis, what's up? Where's my computer, Madison? Oh, that. Yeah, I found a buyer who paid cash. $3,800. Can you believe it? That's like more than some people make in months. That was my computer, my work computer. I need it back right now. Oh, can't. I heard the rustle of shopping bags. Already spent most of it. These designer shoes were 60% off, but only if I bought the whole collection. It's an investment, really. I need to look professional for interviews. Madison! I fought to keep from screaming. I need that computer for a presentation, right now. My job depends on it. God, why are you always so dramatic? It's just a presentation. Do it tomorrow or something. Oh, I have to go. The sales associate is bringing out the matching handbags. She hung up. I stared at my empty desk, calculating options. The presentation materials were encrypted on my home cloud, inaccessible without my specific machine. Even if I bought a new computer right now, it would take hours to configure properly. My phone buzzed with a text from Carl. Clients getting restless. ETA. I called him with the hardest conversation of my professional life. Carl, I'm so sorry. There's been a family emergency. There was an incident. I can't access the presentation. The silence on his end felt infinite. Goldie, these clients flew in specifically for this. We've been preparing for weeks. I know, I'm so sorry. If we could reschedule for tomorrow, I promise. They're flying out tonight. This was our window. His disappointment was palpable. I went to bat for you on this. Told them you were our rising star. Carl, please, this isn't my fault. My family. I have to go manage this disaster. We'll talk tomorrow. He hung up. I sank onto my bed, still staring at the empty desk. 3 years of savings, months of preparation, my entire future sold for designer shoes and handbags. My phone rang, my mother. Goldie, I don't appreciate you hanging up on me. Your father and I are coming home to discuss this properly. There's nothing to discuss. You stole from me. Stole were your parents. We borrowed something you weren't using to help your sister. That's what families do. I was using it for work, which you'd know if you'd asked before taking it. Your tone is unacceptable, young lady. We'll be home in 20 minutes. I used those 20 minutes to photograph the empty desk, the note they'd left everything. Then I started making phone calls, banks to check my accounts, credit cards to ensure they hadn't accessed those too, my cloud backups to verify they were intact, even if currently useless. My parents arrived together, wearing matching expressions of annoyance. Madison was nowhere to be seen. Sit down, my father commanded, pointing at my desk chair. We need to discuss your attitude. Oh, my attitude? I remained standing. You sold my property without permission. That's theft. Theft. My mother clutched her chest dramatically. How dare you accuse us of stealing? We're your parents. Being my parents doesn't give you the right to take my things. I bought that computer with my own money. Money you saved while living under our roof, my father countered. Eating our food, using our electricity. That computer was purchased with our indirect support. The logic was so twisted, I felt dizzy. I pay rent, I buy groceries. I contribute more to this household than Madison ever has. Madison is going through a difficult time, my mother said, switching to her gentle voice. She needed confidence boosters for her job search. Professional appearance matters in today's economy. Oh, so you sold my professional equipment to buy her designer clothes? You make good money, my father stated as if that justified everything. You can buy another computer. Madison doesn't have your opportunities. Whoa, I just lost a $50,000 project because of this. My manager is furious. My career might be over. They exchanged a look I'd seen too many times before. The look that said I was overreacting, being dramatic, making a big deal out of nothing. Careers have setbacks, my mother said soothingly. I'm sure your boss will understand once you explain. Explain that my parents sold my computer while I was at work. That my family sabotaged my presentation. Sabotage is a strong word, my father warned. We helped one daughter who needed it. If that inconveniences you slightly, well, that's the price of being part of a family. Slightly. A career-defining opportunity reduced to a slight inconvenience. My phone buzzed with a text from Madison. A selfie of her surrounded by shopping bags grinning widely. The caption read, "Thanks for the shopping spree, sis. Family is everything." That's when something inside me finally snapped. Not broke, snapped. Like a rubber band stretched too far, the release was both painful and liberating. "You're right," I said quietly. "Family is everything, which is why I'm done being part of this one." My parents' expressions shifted from annoyance to concern, but it was too late. 24 years too late. I pulled out my phone and started recording. "Let me be clear so there's no confusion later. You took my $3,800 computer without permission and sold it. You've admitted this. You see nothing wrong with it. Is that correct?" Goldie put the phone down, my father ordered. "Is that correct?" I repeated. "We helped your sister," my mother said defensively. "Family helps each other." "Thank you for clarifying." I stopped recording. "I'll be moving out immediately. Consider this my 30 days notice on the rental agreement." "You're being ridiculous," my father scoffed. "Where will you go?" I didn't know, but anywhere was better than here. Anywhere was better than being treated like a wallet with feelings they could ignore when convenient. As they left my room, still muttering about my ingratitude, I sat at my empty desk and began planning my escape. I'd lost my computer, possibly my job, and definitely my trust in family. But I'd gained something too. Clarity, the absolute certainty that staying here would mean a lifetime of being used, dismissed, and stolen from. Madison could have her shopping spree. My parents could have their delusions about family loyalty. I was done paying for all of it. The recording on my phone felt like a weapon I didn't yet know how to use. I sat on my bed, playing it back, listening to my parents casually admit to theft while painting themselves as heroes. Their voices sounded different through the speaker, colder, more calculating than I'd ever allowed myself to acknowledge. My phone rang. "Carl." "Goldie, I've managed to smooth things over temporarily with the clients. They've agreed to a video presentation tomorrow at 9 a.m. sharp. Can you make that happen?" Hope flared in my chest. "Yes, absolutely. I'll figure something out. Thank you for buying me time. This is your last shot. Don't let me down." I had less than 18 hours to acquire a computer powerful enough to run my presentation software, configure it, and deliver flawlessly. The nearest electronics store closed in 2 hours. My savings account held enough for a basic laptop, but nothing close to what I'd need for the graphics-heavy demonstration. A text from my cousin Beth appeared. "Heard about the computer situation from Aunt Sharon. That's messed up. You okay?" Word was already spreading through the family grapevine. By tomorrow, everyone would have picked sides. I could predict with depressing accuracy who would land where. I called local computer rental companies. The cheapest gaming rig capable of handling my needs cost $300 per day with a $1,000 deposit. Doable, but it would drain my emergency fund. My bedroom door opened without a knock. Madison stood there, shopping bags in hand, wearing new designer sunglasses indoors. "Mom said you're being dramatic about the computer thing." She entered uninvited, setting her bags on my bed. "Want to see what I got?" "Get out." "Oh, come on, don't be mad. Look, this jacket was originally $800. I got it for $300. That's actually saving money if you think about it." "You spent my computer money on a jacket." "Not just a jacket." She pulled out shoes, bags, jewelry, spreading them across my bedspread like a retail explosion. "This is an investment in my future. You wouldn't understand because you already have a job." Had past tense. I probably just lost it because of you. Madison shrugged, admiring herself in my mirror while wearing her new sunglasses. "You'll get another one. Tech people always land on their feet, but this was my only chance to build a professional wardrobe." "With stolen money." "Borrowed. God, you're so dramatic. Mom and Dad said I could pay you back when I get my first paycheck." From the job you don't have, for interviews you haven't scheduled, using skills you don't possess. Her reflection glared at me. At least I don't hide in my room playing with computers all day. I'm trying to build a real life. By destroying mine, everything isn't about you, Goldie. This family doesn't revolve around your precious career. The irony of that statement from someone who'd been the family's son for 22 years almost made me laugh. Almost. My phone buzzed. An email from accounting at work. Overtime payment process to us 847.32 deposited. I'd forgotten about last month's crunch period. Those 60-hour weeks suddenly felt like a lifeline. Combined with my emergency fund, I could afford a decent laptop. Not ideal for the presentation, but workable if I optimized everything. I need you to leave, I told Madison. Now. Fine, but you're going to feel really stupid about this tantrum when I'm a successful influencer. She gathered her purchases, pausing at the door. Oh, and thanks for the computer donation. My followers are going to love my haul video. Haul video. She was planning to broadcast her theft to the internet. I drove to Best Buy with 15 minutes to spare before closing. The sales associate, a young guy named Tyler, recognized the desperation in my eyes. Let me guess, he said. Work emergency needs something powerful yesterday. Something like that. He guided me to a gaming laptop that would handle my needs. Not elegantly, but adequately. $3,200 later, I sat in the parking lot, unboxing my emergency purchase while the sun set over the Rocky Mountains. Back home, I could hear my parents in the kitchen, their voices carrying through the thin walls. She'll cool down by morning, my father said. Remember when Madison threw that fit about her car? Give it a few days. I don't know, Frank. She seemed different this time. Did you see how she was recording us? Probably for one of those online diary things. Kids document everything these days. Kids. At 24, after supporting myself and contributing to their household for years, I was still just a kid having a tantrum in their minds. I spent the night configuring the laptop, downloading software, and optimizing every setting. The presentation ran barely. Frame rates dropped during complex transitions, and the color accuracy was off, but it would have to do. At 3 a.m., Madison posted her haul video. I watched in horrified fascination as she displayed each purchase, gushing about the quality and craftsmanship. The comments section filled with questions about how a jobless 22-year-old afforded such expensive items. Family support? She replied to one comment. I'm blessed to have people who invest in my future. Invest. Is that what they called it now? Dawn came too soon. I showered, dressed, and prepared for what might be my last day at the company. The laptop bag felt wrong on my shoulder. Too light, too cheap, too temporary. My mother intercepted me at the door. Goldie, sweetheart, let's talk about this. I made your favorite French toast. I have a presentation in an hour. Surely you have 5 minutes for family breakfast. Your father wants to apologize? Through the kitchen doorway, I could see him reading the newspaper, showing no signs of apology prep. Madison's designer bags sat on the counter like trophies. Tell him he can apologize by returning my computer. You know that's not possible, but we can work out a payment plan. Maybe $50 a month from Madison once she's working. $50 a month for a $3,800 computer. That's over 6 years assuming she ever gets a job and actually pays. Don't be pessimistic. Your sister has potential. My sister has my money. I left without another word, driving to work while running presentation scenarios in my head. The laptop's inferior graphics card meant I'd need to disable certain effects. The reduced RAM meant loading times between slides would be noticeable, but I could work with it. I had to. Carl met me in the lobby. You look rough. Everything okay? It was family issues, but I'm ready for the presentation. Good. The clients were not happy about yesterday. One more hiccup and we lose this contract. No pressure. The conference room felt smaller than yesterday, the clients' faces less forgiving. I set up the laptop, its fan already whirring from the strain. The presentation began smoothly enough, my voice steady despite the exhaustion. Then the first stutter. A complex animation sequence froze for 3 seconds before jumping ahead. I covered with explanation, but saw the clients exchange glances. The second freeze lasted longer. 5 seconds of silence while the laptop struggled with the rendering tasks my desktop would have handled effortlessly. By the third freeze, the lead client raised her hand. "I'm sorry, but is there a technical issue we should address?" "Minor hardware limitations," I admitted. "My primary system was compromised. This is temporary." Compromised? How could I explain that my parents had sold my workstation for shopping money, that family could sabotage you more effectively than any competitor? "Equipment failure," I said simply. "I'm working on a replacement." They listened to the rest of my presentation politely, but the magic was gone. Where yesterday they'd leaned forward with interest, today they checked phones and watches. When I finished the lead, client stood immediately. "Thank you for your time, Miss Patterson. We'll be in touch." Corporate speak for "don't call us, we'll call you." Carl walked them to the elevator while I packed up the inadequate laptop. When he returned, his expression told me everything. "They're going with the other firm." "Carl, I'm so sorry. If I could explain..." "Goldie, what happened?" "Yesterday you were ready to knock this out of the park. Today it's like you're running a presentation from 2015. I told him, not everything, but enough. Family emergency, equipment stolen, doing my best with limited resources. Stolen? Did you file a police report? It's complicated. Family situation. Understanding dawned in his eyes. Ah, those are the worst kind. Look, I can't save this contract, but I'm not giving up on you. Take the rest of the week. Sort out whatever's happening. Come back Monday, ready to work. You're not firing me. Not today. But Goldie, this can't happen again. Whatever's going on with your family, you need to figure it out. Set boundaries. Protect your assets. Because talent only takes you so far if you can't deliver. I nodded, throat tight with unshed tears. He was giving me another chance I probably didn't deserve. Back home, I found my parents waiting in the living room like an intervention. "We need to discuss your behavior," my father began. My behavior? The laugh that escaped me sounded unhinged. "I just lost a $50,000 contract because you stole my computer." Stop saying stolen," my mother pleaded. "We're family. Families share." "Then where's my share of Madison's shopping spree? Where's my share of the money you gave her?" "That's different. She needed those things." "And I needed my computer for work, which pays for this roof over our heads. Or did you forget about my rent contribution?" My father stood, using his height to intimidate. "If living here is such a burden, perhaps you should find somewhere else." "Already planning on it." The words hung in the air. My mother's face crumpled. "You don't mean that." "I told you yesterday. 30 days notice. I'll have my stuff out by the end of the month." "Where will you go?" My father's voice held the first note of uncertainty. "Anywhere but here." I went to my room and opened my laptop. The apartment search began immediately. Studio apartments in decent areas started at $1,500 a month, almost double my current rent. But they came with something priceless: freedom from family theft. My phone rang. Aunt Sharon. "Goldie, honey, I just heard. Did they really sell your computer?" "While I was at work, for Madison's shopping addiction." "That girl needs help, not enabling, and your parents. I love my sister, but Dorothy has always had a blind spot when it comes to Madison." "It cost me a major contract, Aunt Sharon. Maybe my job." "No, oh honey. You know, when your parents borrowed $5,000 from me last month, they said it was for your gambling problem." "My what?" "No, I knew it was nonsense. You're the most responsible 20-something I know, but they were so convincing. Said you'd gotten in deep with online poker, needed help before it got worse." The betrayal hit deeper than the theft. They'd been setting up a narrative painting me as the problem child while funding Madison's lifestyle. I don't gamble. I don't even buy lottery tickets. I know, sweetie. I didn't give them the money, but the fact they asked using you as an excuse, that's concerning. Concerning. Such a mild word for such a massive violation of trust. After we hung up, I sat in my empty desk room calculating damages. The computer, $3,800. The lost contract, $50,000 minimum. The promotion Carl had mentioned, probably another $15,000 annually. My reputation at work, incalculable. All for designer clothes that would be out of style in 6 months. My door opened. Madison again, this time wearing one of her new outfits. "Dinner's ready. Mom made your favorite to apologize." "I'm not hungry." "Nah, suit yourself. More for me." She lingered, fidgeting with her new bracelet. "You know, if you hadn't been so selfish with that computer sharing it, sometimes this wouldn't have been necessary." "Sharing it, I used it for work." "You used it at night too, for your little graphic design hobby. That's not work." "That hobby brings in an extra $2,000 a month." "Well, it's not like you need extra money. You have a real job." Had. Past tense, though she didn't need to know how close she'd come to destroying that too. She left and I returned to apartment hunting. By midnight, I'd scheduled 3 viewings for the weekend. By 1 a.m., I'd calculated exactly how much I could afford. By 2 a.m., I'd started packing the things that mattered most. The French toast sat untouched in the kitchen, growing cold and soggy, an appropriate metaphor for my parents' version of love, superficial gestures that dissolved under scrutiny. Madison's haul video had gained traction overnight. Hundreds of views, dozens of comments about her blessed life and supportive family. If only they knew the price of that support. If only they knew whose dreams had been sold for those designer labels. But they would, eventually. Because I was done being silent, done being the good daughter who suffered quietly while the favorite child consumed everything in her path. The breaking point had passed. What came next was the careful, methodical construction of a new life, one where family couldn't reach into my pockets or sell my future for shopping sprees. One where being related by blood didn't grant carte blanche to destroy my life. One where I finally put myself first. The alarm at 3 a.m. felt like liberation rather than exhaustion. While my family slept, I moved through the house with practiced silence, photographing everything I'd paid for but would have to leave behind. The smart TV in the living room, the espresso machine Madison used daily but never cleaned, the high-speed router that enabled her constant social media posting, all purchased with my money but installed in common areas that made them family property. Each photo was evidence, not for court, not yet, but for my own sanity when gaslighting inevitably began. I drafted a formal letter on my laptop, printing it on the home printer I'd also purchased. To Frank and Dorothy Patterson, this letter serves as official notice of lease termination for the bedroom I rented at 2847 Maple Drive, effective 30 days from today's date. Per our verbal agreement, I have paid $800 monthly, plus additional household expenses averaging $400 per month. Attached, please find bank statements showing 3 years of savings, screenshots of Madison Patterson's social media posts displaying items purchased with stolen funds, security camera footage from my bedroom dated over the past week, receipt for the computer equipment valued at $3,800. I am terminating this arrangement due to theft of property and breach of trust. Final rent payment is enclosed. No further financial support will be provided. I have initiated small claims court proceedings for the stolen property. Court date to be determined. Regards, Goldie Patterson. I printed 3 copies, keeping 1 for my records. The security camera footage was particularly damning. clear shots of my mother standing watch while Madison attempted to break into my computer, my father handling my equipment while discussing its resale value. My car was already half-packed with essentials. Clothes, important documents, the few items of sentimental value that hadn't been borrowed over the years. The new laptop, inadequate as it was, would have to suffice until I could rebuild. At 4:30, a creak on the stairs made me freeze. My mother appeared in the doorway, robe askew, hair in curlers. "Goigly, what are you doing up so early as?" "Moving essential items. Didn't want to disturb anyone during normal hours." She flicked on the light, blinking at the boxes stacked by the door. "This is ridiculous. You're not actually leaving." "Letters on the kitchen counter. Rent's paid through next month." "Goldie, please. Let's talk about this like adults." "Adults don't steal from each other and call it borrowing." She moved closer, reaching for my arm. I stepped back, maintaining distance. "We're your parents. We've supported you for 24 years. One computer doesn't erase that." "You're right. The computer doesn't erase it. The computer revealed it. Every choice you've made, every excuse for Madison, every time you've put her wants above my needs. The computer just made it impossible to ignore anymore." "You're being dramatic. By next week, you'll realize how silly this is." I pulled out my phone, showing her the small claims court filing confirmation. "Does this look silly? Does theft charges against your own parents seem like dramatics?" The color drained from her face. "You didn't. Goldie, you wouldn't dare take your family to court." "Ew, family doesn't steal from each other. The moment you sold my property without permission, you stopped being family and became defendants." "How could you—" Tears welled in her eyes, but I'd seen this performance too many times, the tears that appeared whenever accountability threatened. "After everything we've done for you." Everything you've done. You mean taking my rent money while subsidizing Madison's lifestyle? Taking credit for my success while enabling her failures? Or do you mean specifically stealing my work equipment to fund a shopping spree? Heavy footsteps announced my father's arrival. He surveyed the scene with the calculating look of someone assessing threats to his authority. "Put the boxes back. This nonsense ends now." "No." "Excuse me." I said no, I'm leaving. The letter explains everything. He moved to block the door, arms crossed. "You're not going anywhere until we sort this out." I held up my phone finger, hovering over emergency services. "Move or I call the police. Unlawful restraint is a crime." "You'd call the police on your own father." "You sold my computer for shopping money. Apparently, we're all capable of things we never imagined." He held his position for 30 seconds that felt like hours before finally stepping aside. If you walk out that door with this attitude, don't expect to come back." I wouldn't dream of it. Madison appeared at the top of the stairs wearing new silk pajamas. "What's all the noise? Some of us need beauty sleep." "Your sister is having a breakdown," my mother informed her. "She's actually leaving over that computer nonsense." Madison laughed. "She'll be back by dinner. Remember when she threatened to move out in high school? Lasted like 3 hours. I was 17 then. I'm 24 now, with a job credit score and rental history. Watch me leave and never come back." I carried the first box to my car, loading it carefully. 3 trips later, I had the essentials. The rest could wait for a calmer extraction. My childhood room looked strange, half empty, but still clearly mine. From my desk drawer, I retrieved the spare key they'd given me years ago. I placed it on the bare desk surface where my computer once lived. The symbolism felt appropriate. "The utilities are on auto-pay from my account," I informed them. "I'll be canceling those today. Same with the streaming services, internet upgrade, and grocery delivery subscription. You'll need to set those up in your own names." "You can't just abandon your responsibilities," my father sputtered. "Interesting word choice. Tell me, what responsibilities does Madison have beyond spending stolen money?" Silence. That's what I thought. My only remaining responsibility is showing up to court. See you there. I headed for the door one final time. Madison called out from the stairs. Hey Goldie, thanks again for the computer donation. The shopping therapy really helped with my anxiety. I turned to look at her one last time. Designer pajamas, fresh manicure, smug smile, the golden child who could do no wrong even when the wrong was caught on camera. You're welcome, I said calmly. I hope those clothes keep you warm when mom and dad can't afford heat because they're paying court-ordered restitution. The smile slipped. What? Reading comprehension isn't just for job applications, Madison. Try reviewing the letter I left. Sound out the big words if you need to. I walked out, closing the door on 24 years of dysfunction. The sun was rising, painting the sky in shades of possibility. My phone buzzed with texts from both parents alternating between threats and pleas. I blocked both numbers. Natalie had offered her couch until I found an apartment. Her place was small but drama-free, a sanctuary I hadn't realized I desperately needed. You actually did it, she said, helping me unload boxes. I can't believe you actually left. Neither can they. They're about to learn exactly how much I contributed to that household. My phone rang. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Miss Patterson. This is Tyler from Best Buy. I know this is strange, but I couldn't help overhearing your situation yesterday. My roommate just moved out, and I'm looking for someone to take over his lease. It's a decent place walking distance to the tech district. Interested? Sometimes the universe provides unexpected exits. Very interested. When can I see it? We arranged a viewing for that afternoon. The apartment was clean, affordable, and blessedly free of family entanglements. Tyler turned out to be a fellow developer who understood both the value of good equipment and the importance of boundaries. Dude, they sold your rig. That's cold. While I was at work, using it for work. That's next level. My family's crazy, but not steal your workstation crazy. By evening, I'd signed a lease. By nightfall, I was officially a resident of somewhere that wasn't my parents' house. The relief felt like dropping a weight I'd carried so long, I'd forgotten it wasn't part of me. My blocked messages folder filled with increasingly frantic texts. Apparently, they'd discovered the auto-pay cancellations when the internet shut off mid-Netflix binge. Madison's ranting about not being able to post to social media would have been amusing if it weren't so predictable. I unblocked my mother long enough to send one message. Court date will be mailed to your address. I suggest finding Madison a job before then. She'll need income for the payment plan. Then I blocked her again, poured a glass of wine in my new kitchen, and toasted to the terrifying freedom of starting over. The computer was gone. The family I thought I had never existed. But for the first time in my life, I was exactly where I needed to be, away from people who saw my success as their personal ATM. The calculated exit was complete. What came next would be their problem, not mine. Tuesday morning arrived with delicious normalcy. No passive-aggressive breakfast conversations. No Madison rifling through my belongings. No parents justifying theft as family values. Just me, instant coffee, and the sound of my new roommate Tyler making breakfast. Want some eggs? He called out. I made extra. Thanks, but I'm good. I was still learning to trust simple kindness without searching for hidden obligations. My phone set to Do Not Disturb, except for work contacts, showed 47 blocked messages. The family grapevine was working overtime. I ignored them all, focusing on my laptop screen where I'd been rebuilding my portfolio since 5 a.m. At 8:30, my work phone rang. Carl. Goldie, can you come in early? I want to discuss something. My stomach dropped. This was it. The "we're letting you go" conversation I'd been dreading. I arrived at the office 20 minutes later, professional mask firmly in place. Carl's expression was unreadable as he gestured to a chair. I've been thinking about yesterday's presentation, he began. Carl, I'm so sorry. I know I let you and the company down. He held up a hand. Let me finish. After you left, I pulled up your original presentation files from the server, ran them on our conference room system. Goldie, that work was exceptional, some of the best I've seen. Thank you, but the clients made their decision based on technical difficulties, not design quality. That's on the hardware, not you. He leaned forward. I also did some checking. Your overtime hours, your project completion rates, your client satisfaction scores, all in the top 5%. I appreciate that, but I still lost the contract. Oh, one contract, but you've landed 17 others in the past year. He pulled out a folder. Which is why I'm recommending you for our Emergency Equipment Assistance Program. The company will front you $3,000 toward a new workstation, deducted from your salary over 12 months. I stared at the paperwork, vision blurring. The company would do that. For employees worth investing in, absolutely. But Goldie, this is a one-time offer. Whatever's happening with your family, it can't impact your work again. It won't. I signed the papers before he could change his mind. I've already moved out and filed legal action to recover the stolen equipment. Ah, good. Take today to order your new setup. It will expedite the configuration. Be ready to hit the ground running tomorrow. I left his office feeling lighter than air. $3,000 wouldn't rebuild my dream machine, but it would get me functional. Combined with my overtime payment, I could create something respectable. My phone buzzed with a call from an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me answer. Goldie Patterson. The voice was professionally neutral. This is Officer Chen with the Denver Police Department. We've received a theft report from a Dorothy Patterson regarding some missing electronics. She listed you as a possible witness. I almost laughed. They'd actually tried to report me for stealing my own computer. Officer, I think there's been a misunderstanding. I'm the owner of the electronics in question. I have receipts, serial numbers, and security footage showing my parents taking my computer without permission. I see. Would you be able to come to the station to provide a statement? Absolutely. I can bring documentation. An hour later, I sat in a small interview room showing Officer Chen my evidence. Bank statements, purchase receipts, security camera footage, the small claims court filing. So let me understand, she said, reviewing the materials. Your parents took your computer while you were at work and sold it. To fund my sister's shopping spree, yes? And now they're claiming you stole it. Apparently, though I'm not sure how I could steal something I bought, owned, and was using until they took it. She shook her head. Family disputes are always complicated. Based on this evidence, not only is there no theft case against you, but you might have grounds for charges against them. I just want my property back, or reimbursement, hence the civil suit. Oh, smart approach. I'll be closing this report as unfounded. Would you like a copy of that determination? Yes, please. I left the police station with official documentation that my parents had filed a false report, another piece of evidence for my growing file. The electronics store knew me by name now. I spent 2 hours carefully selecting components, maximizing the company's $3,000 while staying within budget. Not my dream build, but solid, functional, protected by receipts in my name at my new address. By afternoon, exhaustion hit hard. I'd been running on adrenaline and spite for 48 hours. Tyler found me passed out on the couch, laptop still warm on my chest. Rough day, he asked, setting a bottle of water on the coffee table. Rough week, rough life, rough everything. Want to talk about it? I gave him the abbreviated version. Parents who played favorites, a sister who saw me as a resource, the theft that broke 24 years of conditioning. Damn, and I thought my family was toxic because they kept asking when I'd get a real job instead of coding. Trade you. Hard pass. My phone rang. Carl again. He'll say, Goldie, I need a favor. I know you're off today, but that startup in California called. They specifically requested you for their project. Can you take a video call in an hour? The California startup, the one I'd been working with before everything imploded. Yes, absolutely, I'll be ready. Adrenaline surged fresh. I showered, changed into professional clothes, set up my laptop in Tyler's home office. The California clients appeared on screen, three executives in Silicon Valley casual. Miss Patterson, we've been following your work. Despite the recent technical difficulties with your other presentation, we're impressed by your portfolio. We'd like to offer you the lead design position for our new platform. I'm very interested. What's the timeline? Aggressive. 6 months to launch, but the compensation reflects that. $75,000 for the complete project, 25 upfront progress payments monthly. 75,000, more than my annual salary, enough to rebuild everything my family had taken and then some. I accept. Excellent. Contracts will be sent within the hour. Welcome to the team. After they hung up, I sat in stunned silence. In 48 hours, I'd gone from losing everything to landing the biggest project of my career. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number, Madison apparently using a friend's phone. Goldie, this is ridiculous. Mom's crying, Dad's stress eating, the internet's been shut off so I can't even work on my influencer career. Stop being selfish and come home. I screenshot the message, adding it to my evidence folder. The delusion was spectacular. My leaving was selfish. My expecting reimbursement for theft was ridiculous. Her influencer career that consisted entirely of spending stolen money was work. Another text. If you don't fix this, I'll have to return all my purchases. Do you know how embarrassing that is? Good. Let her be embarrassed. Let her explain to sales associates why she needed to return worn designer items purchased with stolen funds. That evening, I signed contracts with the California startup. The initial payment would hit my account within 3 days. I ordered my new computer components for rush delivery. By weekend, I'd be fully operational again. Tyler ordered pizza to celebrate. You know what's wild? Your family accidentally did you a favor, pushed you out of a toxic situation into something better. They'd hate knowing that. Good. Success is the best revenge. My blocked messages folder continued filling. Extended family members were choosing sides, most landing firmly in Camp Madison, based on whatever fiction my parents had spread. Only Aunt Sharon and my grandmother Grace seemed interested in the truth. Your mother's telling everyone you abandoned them over a silly computer game, Aunt Sharon informed me during a brief call. Something about you being addicted to online gambling. She's really sticking with that story? Dorothy's always been good at believing her own lies, but people are starting to ask questions, like why Madison suddenly has designer everything while claiming poverty. Let them ask. I have receipts for everything. Good girl. Stand your ground. That night, I lay in my new room, small but mine, and felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Peace. No footsteps outside my door. No calculating looks at dinner. No constant drain on my resources and energy. My family had stolen my computer, but they'd accidentally given me something priceless: freedom from their dysfunction. The irony wasn't lost on me. In trying to fund Madison's shopping addiction, they'd financed my liberation. Now came the fun part, watching them deal with the consequences of their choices. Without my rent, utilities, management, and general support, their carefully balanced ecosystem of enabling would collapse. And I had a front row seat to the show. Wednesday morning arrived with the kind of clarity that comes from adequate sleep and righteous anger. My new computer components would arrive Friday. The California project kickoff was scheduled for Monday. Everything was falling into place with almost suspicious perfection. You look different, Tyler observed over breakfast. Less like you're being hunted. Funny how removing toxic people does that. My work phone rang, unknown number, but the area code was familiar. I answered cautiously. Goldie, this is Tom Patterson, your uncle, my father's brother. We'd barely spoken in years, family gatherings being what they were. Hi, Uncle Tom. I heard about the situation. Want to give me your side? I gave him the facts. No embellishment needed. The theft spoke for itself. Jesus Christ, he muttered. They actually sold your work computer for shopping while I was using it for a major presentation. And Frank's defending this. He says family helps family. Bullshit. Family doesn't steal from family. Look, I can't lend you money, but if you need a character witness for court, I'm there. You'd testify against your own brother. I'd testify for the truth. This enabling Madison nonsense has gone too far. After we hung up, I felt a shift in the family dynamics. Not everyone was buying my parents' narrative. Cracks were forming in their carefully constructed delusion. I spent the morning at my temporary desk diving deep into the California project. The scope was massive, complete brand identity for a revolutionary fintech platform, the kind of work that could launch careers, the kind of opportunity my stolen computer had almost cost me. My personal phone, still filtered for important contacts, only rang. Grandmother Grace. Sweetheart, I saw Sharon's Facebook post about what happened. Is it true? Aunt Sharon had gone public. Interesting. Every word, Grandma. Well, it's those idiots. I knew Dorothy babied Madison, but this is beyond the pale. Do you need help? I'm okay. Found a new place, kept my job, landed a huge project. I'm building back better. That's my girl. Always landing on your feet. Unlike some people who need their sister's computer money to buy shoes. The contempt in her voice was oddly validating. Grace had always been the family truth-teller age, granting her immunity from the politics of politeness. Can I share something? She continued. Your parents called yesterday asking if I could lend them some money. Claimed you'd left them in a bind by moving out suddenly. Let me guess, they didn't mention the theft. Of course not. Just that you'd abandoned family responsibilities over some misunderstanding. I told them to pound sand. Sure, Grandma. What, I'm 83. I've earned the right to tell manipulative liars exactly what they are. We talked for another 20 minutes. She shared stories of my mother's lifetime of excuses for Madison patterns I'd been too close to see clearly. By the time we hung up, I felt more grounded in my decision than ever. Carl messaged me around noon. It has your workstation ready for config. Can you come in? I spent the afternoon in the office watching our IT team assemble my new machine. Not as powerful as my stolen build, but professionally configured and protected. They even added extra security features. Nobody's walking off with this one, Jerry from IT assured me. Biometric locks GPS tracking the works. Someone tries to steal it, we'll know exactly where it goes. The metaphor wasn't lost on me. Professional environments protected their investments. Family apparently sold them for designer handbags. Thursday began with a text from my old landlord, my parents. They'd sent an itemized bill for my share of utilities, groceries, and household expenses for the past 3 years. Total $23,000. I laughed so hard Tyler came to check on me. They're billing me retroactively for living expenses while ignoring the $42,000 in rent I paid them over 3 years. That's creative accounting. That's desperation. I forwarded it to the lawyer I'd consulted about small claims court. Her response was swift. This is hilarious. Save it. Shows consciousness of guilt. They know they owe you money, so they're trying to create a counterclaim. Won't hold up in court. Friday arrived with Christmas morning energy. My components were delivered by 10 a.m. I spent 6 hours building, configuring, and optimizing. This machine might not have been my original dream, but it was mine. Purchased with my money, protected by my passwords, secured in my space. The first render test made me grin, smooth as silk. The California project files loaded without a hiccup. I was back in business. That evening, Natalie came over to see the new setup. She brought wine and gossip. Madison's been posting these tragic videos about family betrayal. Comments are brutal. People are calling her out for the shopping haul, followed immediately by poverty claims. She brought that on herself. Best part, someone found the court filing, posted it in her comments. She's scrambling to delete everything, but screenshots are already circulating. I didn't feel bad. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Saturday morning brought the inevitable extinction burst. My mother calling from neighbors' phones, friends' cells, even payphones. I answered none of them, but the voicemails painted a picture of escalating panic. Goldie, the mortgage payment is due. We need your rent money. Your father's blood pressure is sky high. This stress is killing him. Madison had to return everything. She's devastated. You win okay, just come home and we'll work something out. Delete, 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 delete. I spent the weekend deep in design work. The California clients loved my initial concepts. The project that might have been derailed by family drama was instead thriving in its absence. Sunday evening, Tyler and I were gaming when my phone rang. The lawyer. Goldie, heads up. Your parents hired representation. Got a letter demanding you drop the suit and pay them back rent for emotional damages. Emotional damages they stole from me. I know, it's a delay tactic. They're hoping you'll fold rather than fight family in court. You backing down? Hell no. Good. See you in court Tuesday. Bring all your evidence. Tuesday, 3 days away, the same day my California project payment would clear. The timing felt cosmic. I spent Monday in the office showing Carl my progress on the new project. His impressed whistle validated every late night, every sacrifice, every boundary I'd drawn. This is next level work, Goldie. That promotion we discussed, consider it yours. Senior developer effective next month. Senior developer at 24, despite my family's sabotage, because of my refusal to accept it. Thank you. This means everything. You earned it. Talent plus dedication plus boundaries. That's the winning combination. That night, I sat at my new desk in my new room, working on my new computer, and felt the kind of satisfaction money couldn't buy. My family had tried to clip my wings by stealing my tools. Instead, they'd shown me I could fly without them. Tuesday's court date would be the final chapter in this story. Win or lose, I'd already claimed the only victory that mattered, my independence. The strategic revenge wasn't about the money, though I'd fight for every penny. It was about the life I was building in the ruins of their betrayal, a life where success wasn't stolen for shopping sprees, where work was rewarded, not resented, where family was chosen, not endured. They'd sold my computer for $3,800. I'd bought my freedom with it. Best money I never intended to spend. Tuesday arrived with the kind of crisp Denver morning that made everything feel possible. I dressed carefully for court, professional but not flashy. The goal was credibility, not intimidation. My evidence binder weighed enough to anchor a boat, every page a testament to preparation meeting opportunity. Knock 'em dead, Tyler said, adjusting my blazer collar like a brother sending his sister to prom. Or get your money back. Either works. The courthouse steps seemed steeper than they should have been. Inside, the security line moved slowly, giving me time to observe the other families in various stages of legal dispute. We all wore the same expression, exhaustion mixed with determination. I found the small claims courtroom and nearly laughed. My family had arrived in force. Both parents, Madison, and surprisingly Dorothy's sister, Louise. They dressed like they were attending a funeral, all black and somber faces. My lawyer, Janet, met me outside. They brought backup. Interesting choice. Aunt Louise has a psychology degree. They probably think she'll testify about my instability or something. It was based on what? The fact that I won't accept being robbed. We entered together. The judge, an older woman with kind eyes and steel gray hair, reviewed paperwork while we settled. My family sat across the aisle, whispering furiously. Madison kept shooting me looks that alternated between pleading and poisonous. Case 2024 SC 4521 Patterson versus Patterson, the bailiff announced, regarding theft of computer equipment. We stood. The judge looked between us with the weariness of someone who'd seen too many family disputes. Let's hear from the plaintiff first. Miss Goldie Patterson, please present your case. I'd practiced this in my mirror in my car in the shower. Still, my voice shook slightly as I began. Your Honor, on the morning of April 15th, while I was at work using my laptop for a critical presentation, my parents entered my room and removed my desktop computer. They sold it to a third party for $3,800, which they gave to my sister Madison for personal shopping. Do you have evidence of ownership? I presented everything. Purchase receipts with my name, bank statements showing the savings plan, credit card statements for component purchases, serial numbers registered to me, and evidence of the taking. The security footage played on the courtroom monitor. There was my mother standing guard. There was Madison trying to break into my system. There was my father discussing the computer's resale value. Evidence of the sale. Madison's social media posts filled the screen. Her thank you to supportive family. Her shopping haul videos, the timestamps showing purchases made the same day as my computer's disappearance. I also have a police report, I added, sliding the document across. My parents attempted to file theft charges against me for stealing my own computer. The police found their claims baseless. The judge's eyebrows rose. They reported you for theft. Yes, Your Honor, after I moved out and filed this suit. I see. Defense. My father stood, paper trembling in his hands. Your Honor, we're a family. Families share resources. Goldie lived in our home, ate our food, used our electricity. The computer was purchased with money she saved while benefiting from our support. Was she paying rent? Well, yes, but how much? $800 a month. For how long? 3 years. The judge did quick math. So she paid you $28,800 in rent over 3 years. She also used utilities and... Or, sir, was she paying rent or not? Yes. Then she was a tenant. Did you have permission to enter her room and take her property? Silence. Did you sell property belonging to your tenant? For a family emergency? What was the emergency? My mother stood. Madison needed interview clothes for job searching. I see. Miss Madison Patterson, please stand. Madison rose slowly, designer outfit impeccable. How many job interviews have you attended since receiving this money? Well, I've been networking. How many interviews? The job market is really tough right now. How many interviews? None, Madison whispered. So no emergency, no interviews, just shopping. Your Honor, Aunt Louise interjected. Madison has been struggling with depression. Are you a witness in this case? No, but I'm a psychologist. Then please sit down. Louise sat face flushed. The judge turned back to my parents. Let me understand. You took your rent-paying daughter's computer without permission, sold it without permission, gave the money to your other daughter for shopping, then tried to have the victim arrested for theft? When you put it like that, my father began. How would you put it? Silence. Miss Madison Patterson, do you have the funds to repay your sister? Oh, I had to return everything, Madison said, tears starting. The stores would only give me credit, not cash. Oh, so you have $3,800 in store credit. It's less with the restocking fees. How much? About $2,000. And the rest? Some things were final sale. The judge rubbed her temples. So you can't return the items you purchased with stolen funds. Oh, we borrowed it. From the legal owner, with permission, with a repayment plan. Madison looked at our parents desperately. They avoided her gaze. I guess no. The judge reviewed more documents. I see here the plaintiff has also submitted evidence of lost wages due to a failed presentation and documentation of replacement equipment costs. Miss Goldie Patterson, please explain. I detailed the lost contract, the career impact, the cost of emergency equipment. Janet had advised keeping it factual, not emotional. The facts were damning enough. Your Honor, my father tried again. We're willing to work out a payment plan. Family shouldn't sue family. Family shouldn't steal from family either, yet here we are. The judge's decision was swift and brutal. I find in favor of the plaintiff. The defendants will pay $3,800 in restitution, plus court costs, plus $1,000 in punitive damages for the false police report. Total judgment $5,100. Madison gasped. I don't have that kind of money. Then you'll need to find employment. The court will set up a payment plan, but I want to see proof of job searching within 30 days. Minimum payments of $200 monthly until the debt is satisfied. $200 a month? That's impossible. That's roughly 20 hours of minimum wage work. Quite possible if you're motivated. But I'm not suited for minimum wage work. The judge's smile was sharp. Then perhaps you shouldn't have spent money that wasn't yours. Judgment stands. Next case. We filed out in silence. In the hallway, Madison cornered me. How could you do this to me? I'm your sister. You stole my computer, Madison. My work computer. I was going to pay you back. When, how, with what money? When I become successful. Woe as what you have no skills, no work experience, no ambition beyond spending other people's money. That's not true. I'm building a brand, built on stolen funds. How's that working out? She burst into tears, real ones this time. I have to get a job, like some teenager. Do you know how humiliating this is? More or less humiliating than having your professional equipment stolen by family. It's not the same. You already have a career that you tried to destroy. My parents approached looking defeated. Goldie, you've made your point. Can we move past this now? Sure, as soon as the judgment is paid in full. You're really going to make your sister work minimum wage. I'm not making her do anything. She chose to steal. The court chose the consequences. I'm just collecting what's mine. We'll never forgive you for this, my mother said quietly. I'll never forgive you for the theft. Guess we're even. I left them in the courthouse hallway, Madison still crying about the injustice of having to work for money. The irony was lost on them, but not on me. Outside, Janet shook my hand. Clean victory. They'll probably try to guilt you into dropping the judgment. They can try. Good. Stay strong. You've got legal backing now. That evening, Tyler had champagne waiting. To justice. To boundaries. I corrected clinking glasses. So what happens now? Now Madison learns what the rest of us figured out years ago. Money requires work. Actions have consequences. Family isn't a free pass for theft. My phone buzzed with a notification. Madison had posted a new video, Forced to Work Minimum Wage by Heartless Sister. My story. The comments were brutal. Maybe don't steal computers. Wow, consequences for your actions. Wild. Team Goldie all the way. Get a job like everyone else, princess. I didn't feel bad. I didn't feel good either. Mostly, I felt free. Free from the obligation to subsidize someone else's refusal to grow up. Free from the guilt of having boundaries. Free from the family that saw my success as their personal piggy bank. Madison would either learn from this or she wouldn't. Either way, it was no longer my problem. My computer had been worth $3,800. My freedom from family dysfunction priceless. And now legally enforced. The courthouse aftermath rippled through my life in unexpected ways. That evening, my phone lit up with messages from extended family members who'd attended the hearing as spectators. The truth had been laid bare in a public forum, and no amount of spin could change what they'd witnessed. Cousin Beth texted first. Holy shit, Goldie. They really tried to justify stealing your computer in front of a judge. Then Uncle Tom. Proud of you for standing up. Frank looked like he swallowed a lemon when the judge mentioned jail time for false reports. The family group chat, which I'd muted but not left, exploded with activity. I caught glimpses of the drama unfolding. Dorothy. We're devastated by Goldie's actions, taking your own family to court. Louise. The judge wouldn't even let me explain Madison's mental health struggles? Tom. Maybe because depression doesn't entitle you to steal computers. Beth. Team Goldie? Sorry, not sorry. Grace. Good. Maybe now Madison will learn the world doesn't owe her designer clothes. By Wednesday morning, the family had split into clear factions. The enablers rallied around Madison, painting her as a victim of circumstances and my cruelty. The realists, tired of years of watching the favoritism, finally had concrete proof that the golden child was actually gold-plated trash. I ignored it all, focusing on my California project. The work provided a perfect escape from family drama, each design element, a small victory over chaos. Thursday brought an unexpected visitor to my office. Madison stood at reception wearing what looked like hastily assembled professional attire, clearly returned designer pieces mixed with Target basics. I need to talk to my sister, she told our receptionist loud enough for half the floor to hear. Security called me. There's a Madison Patterson here claiming to be your sister. Send her to the lobby. I'll be down in 5. I found her slumped in a chair, mascara slightly smudged. The carefully curated influencer image was cracking. What do you want, Madison? I got a job. Congratulations. Where? Starbucks. She spit the word like profanity. Barista, starting Monday. That's good. Steady income benefits if you go full-time. Good. Her voice cracked. Goldie, I have a degree. I'm supposed to be building a brand, not serving coffee to people who actually have careers. You mean like the career you almost destroyed when you stole my computer? Oh, God, can you stop throwing that in my face for 5 seconds? It's been 4 days since court, so no. She pulled out her phone, showing me a budget she'd scribbled in her notes app. $200 for the court payment leaves me with barely anything to live on. How am I supposed to build a professional wardrobe on minimum wage? Thrift stores, sales, the way I built mine while saving for the computer you stole. This isn't fair. You had help. Help. I couldn't hide my disbelief. What help? The parents who charged me rent while subsidizing your lifestyle. The family who sold my equipment. What help did I have that you don't? You're naturally good at things. Coding comes easy to you. Madison, I studied for years. Took out student loans I'm still paying. Worked unpaid internships while waiting tables. Nothing came easy. It came from work. But your shift starts Monday. 6 a.m. She shuddered. I have to be there at 5:30 to prep. Welcome to the working world. I turned to leave, but her next word stopped me. The court thing, it's public record. Everyone can see it. Do you know how humiliating it is having employers Google me and find out I was sued for theft? More humiliating than having your professional equipment stolen during a client presentation? That's different. How? She had no answer. For perhaps the first time in her life, Madison was facing consequences without a parent-provided escape hatch. Friday morning brought notification that the first payment had been submitted. $200 of the $5,100 owed. Only 23 more payments to go, assuming Madison kept her job that long. My California project was progressing beautifully. The clients loved my revised mock-ups, praising the attention to detail that my new setup allowed me to achieve. Carl stopped by my desk with coffee and a knowing smile. Heard your sister visited yesterday. Office gossip travels fast. Everything okay? She got a job, barista. She's very upset about it. Ah, the tragedy of employment. He set a folder on my desk. Your promotion paperwork? Sign when you get a chance. Senior Developer Patterson has a nice ring to it. Senior Developer Patterson. While Madison was learning to steam milk, I was climbing the career ladder she'd tried to knock me off. That weekend, I met Natalie for brunch. She'd been following the family drama with the fascination of someone watching a reality show. Oh, Madison's TikTok is hilarious, she said, showing me her phone. She's documenting her journey from riches to rags like she's some kind of fallen aristocrat. The video showed Madison in a Starbucks uniform looking mortified. Day one of my court-ordered employment, she narrated. This is what happens when family betrays you. The comments were merciless. Court-ordered girl, what did you do? Imagine thinking you're too good for honest work. The entitlement is strong with this one. Moim, Starbucks workers deserve respect, not your attitude. Anyone else here from the computer theft trial, T? I pushed the phone away. I don't need to see this. You won. She's facing consequences. Aren't you happy? I'm relieved, but not happy. I wanted my computer back not to destroy her life. She destroyed her own life. You just stopped enabling it. Monday arrived with a text from an unknown number, a photo of Madison in her Starbucks uniform clearly taken by a coworker. The caption, Princess's First Day. I blocked the number. I had no interest in Madison's humiliation tour. My focus was on the future I was building, not the past she was wallowing in. Carl called me into his office that afternoon. The California clients are so impressed they're recommending us to 3 other startups. You specifically. This could mean another $200,000 in contracts. Are you serious? Dead serious. Goldie, you're about to become our highest earning developer. The promotion comes with a serious raise, but I'm thinking we need to discuss partnership track. Partnership track. At 24, because I'd refused to let family theft derail my ambitions. That evening, Tyler and I celebrated with good sushi and better sake. From family theft victim to partnership track in 2 weeks. That's a hell of a comeback story. It's not a comeback, it's just a continuation. They tried to stop my story. I kept writing it anyway. My phone buzzed with a court notification. Payment received $200. Balance remaining $4,700. Madison was working, learning, growing maybe, or at least going through the motions. Either way, she was facing the reality that money came from effort, not entitlement. Tuesday brought my first official day as senior developer. New badge, new responsibilities, new salary that made my parents' rent seem even more ridiculous in retrospect. I was earning more in a month than Madison would see in 6. A LinkedIn notification caught my attention. Madison had updated her profile. Barista at Starbucks, learning customer service and business operations from the ground up. It was the first honest thing I'd seen her post in years. No inflated titles, no imaginary ventures, just the truth. She was a barista, learning basics the rest of us mastered as teenagers. My grandmother Grace called that evening. I heard Madison lasted a whole week at her job. That's 6 days longer than I expected. She needs the money. Court payments aren't optional. Oh, speaking of which, your parents asked me for a loan to help with their mortgage since you're not paying rent anymore. Did you give it to them? What do you think I told them to get Madison to pay rent since she's the one who benefited from their theft? How'd that go? Your mother hung up on me. I'm taking that as a no. We talked for another hour. Grace shared more family history patterns of enabling that stretched back to Madison's birth. The miracle baby after years of trying, the child who could do no wrong, the daughter who'd been trained from birth that wanting was the same as deserving. You broke the cycle, Grace said before hanging up. I'm proud of you. Wednesday's mail brought an official court document. Madison had submitted her employment verification as required. The judge's notes indicated satisfaction with her compliance. $200 monthly would continue until the debt was cleared. I filed the paper with the rest of my evidence, not out of spite, but as proof. Proof that boundaries worked, that consequences mattered, that family didn't mean accepting theft with a smile. My computer had been the catalyst, but it was never really about the hardware. It was about respect, accountability, and the radical act of saying no more. Madison would work her shifts, make her payments, and maybe learn something beyond latte art. Or she wouldn't, and that pattern would be her problem, not mine. I had code to write, designs to create, and a partnership track to pursue. My future was too bright to waste time looking backward at the family who'd tried to steal it. $4,700 remaining, 23 payments to go. Justice served one monthly installment at a time. The call from the Denver Post came on a Thursday morning that had started like any other. I was deep in code review when my desk phone rang with an unfamiliar number. Miss Patterson, this is Jennifer Walsh from the Denver Post. I was in the courtroom during your small claims case, and I'm working on a piece about family financial abuse. Would you be willing to share your story? My finger hovered over the disconnect button. Going public meant burning bridges that were already smoldering. I need to think about it, I said finally. Of course, but Goldie, your story could help others in similar situations. Family theft is more common than people think, but victims rarely speak up. She left her contact information. I spent the rest of the morning distracted weighing options. By lunch, I had made my decision. If Madison could broadcast her journey on social media, I could share the truth in print. The interview took place that afternoon in a quiet coffee shop downtown. Jennifer was professional but empathetic, asking thoughtful questions about the emotional toll beyond the financial loss. Yes, what hurt most wasn't the money, I found myself saying. It was realizing they'd planned it. My mother stood guard while my sister tried to break into my system. They treated my career like a piggy bank they could raid whenever Madison wanted something. How has your family responded to the court ruling? With denial mostly. They still insist they borrowed the computer, as if borrowing includes selling something that doesn't belong to you. Jennifer showed me similar stories she'd collected. Adult children whose parents drained their bank accounts, siblings who stole identities for credit cards, always with the same justification, we're family. Would you be willing to be photographed for the article? Yes. The word came out stronger than expected. I'm done hiding from their choices. The photographer arrived within an hour, taking shots of me at my desk, with my new setup visible in the background. Rebuilding the images would say, surviving despite the sabotage. Saturday morning, Tyler knocked on my door with his tablet. Goldie, you're trending. The article had gone live overnight. When Family Becomes Financial Predator, a Denver developer's story of theft and redemption. My photo dominated the page. Professional, composed, clearly thriving, despite the betrayal described in brutal detail. Jennifer had woven my story with others, creating a tapestry of family financial abuse that was impossible to dismiss. The quotes they'd selected were damning. They sold my work computer while I was using it for a client presentation, then gave the money to my sister for shopping. My parents charged me $28,000 in rent over 3 years while subsidizing my unemployed sister's lifestyle. They actually tried to have me arrested for theft when I moved out and took legal action. My phone exploded with notifications. Friends, colleagues, distant relatives who'd only heard my parents' version. The court documents Jennifer had included left no room for interpretation. Then came the social media storm. Madison's TikTok followers found the article within hours. Her carefully curated victim narrative crumbled against the weight of documented facts. Comments flooded her videos. Oh, wait, you stole your sister's work computer? This article says you spent $3,800 on designer clothes with stolen money. And you're complaining about having to pay it back, girl. The audacity to play victim when you're literally a thief. Your sister was paying your parents' rent while they funded your lifestyle. Madison tried damage control, posting a tearful response video. You don't understand the full story. Goldie was always the favorite. She had all the opportunities. I was just trying to level the playing field. The ratio was immediate and brutal. Quote tweets tore apart her logic. The favorite, she paid rent while you lived free. Opportunities she worked for while you shopped. Level the playing field by stealing. My parents' Facebook pages went private within hours, but not before screenshots circulated. Dorothy's book club friends were asking pointed questions. Frank's coworkers were sharing the article. Their carefully maintained image of devoted parents crumbled with each share, each comment, each undeniable fact. My work phone rang constantly. Carl fielded media requests while I focused on coding. You don't have to do any more interviews, he assured me, but I have to say the company appreciates that you're portrayed as such a dedicated professional. It's actually good PR for us. Then came the unexpected allies. Emails poured in from strangers who'd experienced similar betrayals. Adult children whose college funds vanished into parents' vacations. Siblings whose credit was destroyed by family members. All of them saying the same thing. Thank you for speaking up. A financial advisor reached out offering pro bono services. I help victims of family financial abuse rebuild. Your story hit close to home. A security company offered discounted services. We specialize in protecting assets from family theft. It's more common than you'd think. By Monday, the article had been shared thousands of times. Madison's employer was less than pleased to discover their new barista was internet infamous for theft. Her manager called me directly. I want to assure you that we're monitoring the situation. We have strong policies about employee conduct both in and outside of work. I'm not trying to get her fired, I said honestly. We know, but we needed to verify that our registers would be safe. The article raised concerns. Madison kept her job, but barely. Her social media went dark for the first time in years. No more influencer posts, no more victim videos, just silence as reality crashed down. Tuesday brought a registered letter from my parents' lawyer. Cease and desist. Defamation claims, threats of lawsuits. I forwarded it to Janet, who laughed. They want to claim defamation with court documents proving every word. This is desperation, not legal strategy. She drafted a response that essentially said, truth is an absolute defense against defamation. Proceed at your own risk. Wednesday, Uncle Tom called with gossip. Frank tried to organize a family meeting to address the situation. Nobody showed up. Even Louise is distancing herself. How are they handling it? Badly. Dorothy's been crying about public humiliation. Frank keeps ranting about ungrateful children. Madison hasn't left her apartment except for work. And the mortgage? Grace heard they're considering selling. Can't afford it without your rent, and nobody's willing to help them anymore. I felt a pang of something. Not guilt, but sadness for the relationship that might have been. Parents who could have celebrated my success instead of stealing from it. A sister who could have been inspired to build her own life instead of dismantling mine. But they'd chosen their path. I'd simply illuminated it for others to see. Thursday brought notification of Madison's second payment. $400 total, now $4,500 to go. At least she was consistent, even if grudgingly so. My California project launched to rave reviews. The client specifically mentioned my dedication despite personal challenges in their testimonial. Apparently, they'd seen the article too. You're becoming something of a folk hero, Carl said over coffee. The developer who refused to let family sabotage derail her career. I just wanted my computer back. You got so much more. Respect. Boundaries, a story that's inspiring others to stand up for themselves. That evening, I sat in my secure apartment working on my powerful computer, surrounded by the life I'd built despite their best efforts to tear it down. The article had changed everything and nothing. I was still the same person doing the same work, pursuing the same dreams. But now everyone knew the price I'd paid for the audacity of succeeding while having a parasitic family. My phone buzzed with another payment notification, a deposit from the California clients for Phase 2, $75,000 as promised. In trying to steal $3,800, my family had cost themselves everything: their reputation, their relationships, their financial stability, all for designer clothes that were already out of style. The article would live online forever, a permanent record of their choices. Madison's name would always be linked to theft. My parents would always be the people who sold their daughter's computer for shopping money. I'd given one interview, told one truth. They'd have to live with the consequences for the rest of their lives. The internet, it turned out, never forgets, and sometimes that's exactly the justice needed. 3 months after the Denver Post article, my life had transformed in ways I couldn't have imagined while staring at that empty desk. The California project's success had opened doors I didn't even know existed, and my story of overcoming family sabotage had resonated with more people than just theft victims. Goldie, got a minute? Carl appeared at my desk on a Friday afternoon wearing his serious news expression. I saved my code and followed him to his office, where 3 executives I didn't recognize sat around the conference table. "This is the developer I was telling you about," Carl said by way of introduction. "Goldie, meet the board members from Tech Forward Ventures." Venture capitalists, in our office, looking at me. "What's Miss Patterson?" The woman at the head of the table began. "We've been following your work on the California project. More importantly, we've been impressed by your resilience and professional growth despite personal challenges." Thank you. "We're launching a new initiative, funding and mentoring developers from non-traditional backgrounds, people who've overcome significant obstacles. Your story caught our attention." She slid a folder across the table, inside a proposal that made my eyes widen. They wanted to fund my own startup built around the design systems I'd created for various projects. Seed funding of $200,000 to $50,000. Mentorship from industry leaders. The chance to build something entirely my own. I don't know what to say. Say you'll think about it," Carl interjected. "I hate to lose you, but I'd never forgive myself for holding you back from this opportunity." I left that meeting in a dazed proposal, clutched in shaking hands. My phone rang before I reached my desk. "Goldie." The voice was familiar but unexpected. "This is Grace. I'm at the house. Your parents' house. You need to know what's happening." "What's wrong?" "They're losing it. The bank's foreclosing next month. Dorothy asked me to call you to beg you to come back." "That's not happening." "I know, sweetheart. I told her as much. But there's something else. Madison's been hospitalized." My stomach dropped. Despite everything, she was still my sister. "What happened?" "Exhaustion, malnutrition. Apparently, she's been working 3 jobs to make the court payments and help with the mortgage, living on ramen and energy drinks." The irony wasn't lost on me. Madison, who'd never worked a day in her life, was now working herself into the hospital. "Is she okay?" "She will be. But Goldie, this isn't your fault. She made choices. They all did." I knew that, but knowledge and feelings rarely aligned perfectly. That weekend, I found myself at the hospital. Not for my parents, who I still had blocked, but for the sister who'd stolen from me, yet was still my sister. Madison looked smaller in the hospital bed designer clothes replaced with a standard gown. No makeup, no filters. Just a 22-year-old who'd hit rock bottom. "Come to gloat." Her voice was hoarse but defiant. "Come to check if you're alive. Grace was worried." "Since when do you care what happens to me?" "Since always, Madison. That's why your betrayal hurt so much." She turned away, but not before I caught the tears. "I screwed up." "Yeah, you did." "I mean everything. Not just the computer. My whole life. I bought into Mom and Dad's fantasy that I was special, that I deserved things just for existing. And now?" She gestured weakly at the hospital room. Now I'm 22 with no skills, no real friends, and a theft conviction following me everywhere. It was the first honest conversation we'd had in years. So, what are you going to do about it? I don't know. I can barely make the court payments. Mom and Dad need help with the mortgage. I'm working 3 jobs and it's killing me, but it's still not enough. I sat in the visitor's chair, weighing my words. You can't save them, Madison. They made their choices, subsidizing your lifestyle instead of saving, stealing from me instead of setting boundaries. Let them face their consequences. Like you let me face mine. Exactly like that. And look, you got a job. 3 jobs. You're working. That's more growth in 3 months than in the previous 22 years. It doesn't feel like growth. It feels like drowning. Welcome to adulthood. The rest of us have been treading water for years. You just got thrown in the deep end all at once. A knock interrupted us. A young woman entered wearing scrubs and a concerned expression. Miss Patterson, I'm Dr. Kim. Are you family? I'm her sister. Ah, good. We need to discuss your sister's condition. The exhaustion is treatable, but I'm concerned about the underlying anxiety and depression. Has Madison been under unusual stress? Madison laughed bitterly. I went from never working to working 3 jobs because I stole my sister's computer and got sued. So yeah, a little stressed. Dr. Kim's expression didn't change, but I caught the slight widening of her eyes. Clearly she'd seen the article too. I'd like to recommend a mental health program, outpatient but comprehensive. It would help with both the psychological aspects and practical life skills. I can't afford that, Madison said immediately. It's covered under the state assistance program. Given your income level and situation, you'd qualify. Madison looked at me, then back at the doctor. Okay, sign me up. It was a start. I left the hospital with conflicting emotions. The sister who'd stolen from me was suffering, but she was also finally experiencing consequences that might lead to growth. The parents who'd enabled her were losing their home, but only because they'd built their finances on my unwilling support. Monday brought another surprise. The venture capitalists had sweetened their offer after what they called additional due diligence. Translation, they'd seen how I'd handled the family crisis and were impressed. Someone who can maintain professional excellence while their family implodes is someone we want to invest in, they explained. I accepted the offer that afternoon. Career Forge would launch in 6 months with me as founder and lead developer. The girl whose computer was sold for shopping money would now be building software to help others navigate career challenges. The irony was delicious. Tuesday, I received an email that made me laugh out loud. Madison had started a blog, From Riches to Ramen, a Spoiled Girl's Guide to Growing Up. Her first post was brutally honest. I stole my sister's computer. Not borrowed, not shared. Stole. Sold it for designer clothes while she was using it for work. Got sued. Lost. Now I'm working 3 minimum wage jobs and just got out of the hospital for exhaustion. This blog is about my journey from entitled brat to functional adult. It's not pretty, but maybe someone can learn from my mistakes. The comments were surprisingly supportive. People appreciated the honesty, the lack of victim narrative. Madison was finally telling the truth, and it was resonating. By Friday, everything was in motion. My startup paperwork was filed. Madison was in her therapy program. My parents were packing to downsize. And I was sitting in my secure apartment looking at an offer letter that would have seemed impossible just months ago. Founder and CEO of Career Forge. Salary that made my parents' lifetime of financial manipulation look even more pathetic. The chance to help others build careers despite obstacles. My phone buzzed with Madison's court payment, $600 total now. She was keeping up despite everything. Then came a text from an unknown number. I almost deleted it, but the preview caught my attention. Goldie, this is Mom. I know you've blocked us everywhere. I borrowed a friend's phone. We're losing the house, moving to a small apartment. I wanted you to know we finally understand. We failed you. We stole from you. We chose Madison's wants over your needs. I don't expect forgiveness. Just wanted you to know we finally see it. Dorothy. I stared at the message for a long time before deleting it. Too little, too late. But at least they finally admitted the truth. That evening, I had dinner with Grace. She'd been my rock through everything, the one family member who'd seen through the dysfunction from the start. "You're glowing," she observed over pasta. "Success suits you." It's not just success, it's freedom. For the first time in my life, my achievements are mine. No one can steal them, claim credit, or make me feel guilty for having them. And Madison, she's trying, actually working, getting help. Maybe she'll make it. Maybe, but that's her journey now, not yours. Exactly. We talked about the startup, the future, the possibilities ahead. Grace offered to invest, but I declined. This was something I needed to build entirely on my own. As I walked home through downtown Denver, I passed a Starbucks. Through the window, I glimpsed someone who looked like Madison, diligently cleaning tables. Working, growing, becoming. I didn't go in. Our paths had diverged, and while I wished her well, I had my own journey to focus on. 6 months from poverty to CEO, from family theft victim to venture-backed founder, from empty desk to empire building. They'd sold my $3,800 computer. I'd used its absence to build something worth millions. The best revenge wasn't living well. It was living authentically, successfully, and completely free from the people who'd tried to clip your wings. My wings weren't clipped. They were just beginning to spread. The doorbell camera alert came through on a rainy Thursday evening 6 months after I'd founded Career Forge. 2 figures huddled under a shared umbrella on my doorstep, looking older and smaller than I remembered. I watched my parents on the screen for a full minute before opening the door. "Hello, Goldie." My mother's voice was barely above a whisper. "May we come in?" They looked like strangers. My father's hair had gone fully gray. My mother's designer clothes had been replaced with simple, worn garments. The parents who'd once seemed so imposing now appeared fragile, diminished. "How did you find my address?" "Grace," my father admitted. "She said you were doing well. We needed to see you." Against my better judgment, I let them in. They sat on my couch like guests, not family, taking in the modern apartment with its floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. "This is beautiful," my mother said softly. "You've done well for yourself." "No thanks to you." The words hung heavy. My father cleared his throat. Goldie, we came to apologize. Really apologize. Not for show or manipulation. We've been in therapy, both individual and couples. We've had to face some hard truths. Such as, we stole from you, my mother said, tears flowing freely. Not borrowed. Stole. We took your property, sold it, and gave the money to Madison for shopping. We betrayed your trust, sabotaged your career, and then tried to have you arrested when you stood up for yourself. Hearing the words I'd waited years for should have brought satisfaction. Instead, I felt oddly empty. "Go on." "We always knew what we were doing," my father continued. "The favoritism, the enabling. Dorothy and I convinced ourselves that Madison needed more help, that you were strong enough to handle the unfairness. We were wrong. We damaged both our daughters." Madison's in therapy too," my mother added. "Real therapy, not the kind where she convinces someone she's the victim. She's working through her issues, still paying you back every month." "I know, I get the notifications." "She wanted to come tonight, but we told her no. This needed to be just us. Parents to daughter, to take responsibility for our failures without hiding behind her." My father pulled out an envelope. "We can't undo what we did, but we want to try to make amends." Inside was a check for $28,800. "That's the rent you paid us over 3 years, he explained. "We should never have charged you market rate to live in your childhood bedroom while subsidizing Madison. It was wrong. Financial abuse, our therapist called it." I stared at the check. Where did this money come from? We sold the house, my mother said. Downsized to a one-bedroom apartment. Used part of the equity to pay debts. Saved the rest for retirement. But this needed to come to you first. I don't want your money. It's not ours. It never was. It's yours that we took unfairly. I set the check on the coffee table between us. What do you really want? They exchanged glances. My mother spoke first. Bups, nothing. We want nothing from you, Goldie. Not money, not forgiveness, not a relationship. We came to apologize and return what we stole. What you do with both is your choice. Then our therapist calls it making amends without expectations. My father added, we're not here to ask for anything, just to acknowledge the harm we caused. Madison's doing better, by the way, my mother continued. She's down to one job now, promoted to shift supervisor at Starbucks, taking community college classes in business management. Her blog about recovering from entitlement has actually helped other people. I know, I read it sometimes. You do? Hope flickered in my mother's eyes. Know your enemy, I said flatly, or in this case, know your thief. The hope died. Good. We also wanted you to know, my father said slowly, that we're proud of you, not that our pride matters or that you need it, but we see now what you accomplished despite us. The career you built while we tried to tear it down. The business you founded from the ashes of what we destroyed. You succeeded not because of us, but in spite of us. And we have to live with that, my mother added, knowing we were obstacles instead of supporters, that our daughter's greatest achievement was escaping us. They stood to leave. No hugs attempted. No false intimacy presumed. The check is void if you don't cash it within 30 days, my father said at the door. After that, we'll donate it to a financial abuse charity in your name. That's probably better. No, my mother interrupted. It belongs to you. Whether you keep it, donate it, or burn it, that's your choice. But we need to return it to you first, for our own accountability. They left without asking for my phone number, without suggesting future contact, without any of the manipulation I'd been braced for. Just two people acknowledging their failures and leaving the door open for whatever I decided. I sat with that check for hours, $28,800. Rent I'd paid while they funded Madison's lifestyle, money that could have been my computer fund, my emergency savings, my freedom years earlier. Tyler found me there when he got home from work. You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. My parents came by. Oh, shit. Do we need to change the locks? No, they apologized, real apologies, and gave me this. I showed him the check. He whistled low. That's a lot of money. What are you going to do with it? I have no idea. That weekend, I met with Grace for our regular coffee. She wasn't surprised by the visit. They asked me for your address. I made them wait 3 months' work with their therapists before I'd consider it. They seem genuinely changed. Do you believe it? I believe they've faced consequences that forced them to see reality. Lost their house, their reputation, their daughters. Sometimes people need to lose everything to gain perspective. Madison's really doing better. She is. Works hard lives, simply pays her debts, still has moments of entitlement but catches herself. The therapy's helping. And them living like they should have all along within their means. No fancy dinners, no shopping sprees, no subsidizing anyone, just two people facing the retirement they actually saved for, not the one they fantasized about. I fingered the check. I don't know what to do with this. What does your gut say? To cash it, use it for the startup, turn their financial abuse into something positive. Then do that. But it feels like accepting their apology. No, sweetheart, it feels like accepting your money back. Big difference. She was right as always. That Monday, I deposited the check into Career Forge's account. The money that had once been my unwilling subsidy of their favoritism would now help build a platform for career development. Madison's payment came through that week, $1,000 total, still paying, still consistent. I pulled up her blog that night. Her latest post was about encountering former friends who still lived off their parents. They invited me shopping, she wrote. Designer stores, expensive lunch, the whole circuit I used to love. When I explained I couldn't afford it, that I had a budget, now they laughed. Just ask your parents, they said. Take out a credit card, you deserve nice things. I realized they sounded exactly like I used to, entitled, delusional, completely disconnected from reality. I made an excuse and left. Went to my shift at Starbucks instead. Earned my money honestly. It felt better than any shopping high ever did. Growth. Real growth. The kind that came from consequences, not coddling. My phone rang. Unknown number, but I recognized the area code. Goldie, it's Madison. How did you get my number? I didn't. I'm calling from the therapy center. They let us make one reconciliation call if the therapist approves. I wanted to thank you. Oh, for what? For holding me accountable, for not letting mom and dad sweep another one of my failures under the rug, for forcing me to face consequences. I hated you for it, hated you so much, but it saved my life. You saved your own life by doing the work. Only because you made it the only option. If you'd forgiven the theft, accepted some fake apology, let me pay you back in promises, I'd still be the same person. Still waiting for someone else to fund my dreams. Still believing the world owed me designer things. And now I know the world owes me nothing. Everything I want, I have to earn. It's terrifying and exhausting and freeing. I'm free, Goldie. For the first time in my life, I'm actually free. I'm glad. I'm not asking for forgiveness or a relationship or anything. I just wanted you to know that the girl who stole your computer is dead. I killed her with minimum wage jobs and community college and therapy. The person I'm becoming, she would never do that to anyone. Good, keep becoming her. I will. And Goldie, thank you for not visiting me in the hospital that time, for not enabling my breakdown, for keeping the boundaries, even when everyone said you were heartless. You weren't heartless. You were teaching me to have my own heart. The call ended. I sat in my office surrounded by the success I'd built from betrayal and felt something shift. Not forgiveness exactly, but a loosening of the anger I'd carried. They'd all apologized. More importantly, they'd all changed. My parents were living within their means. Madison was working for her money. The dysfunction had been broken by the simple act of refusing to participate in it anymore. My phone buzzed with an email. The California clients wanted to expand our contract. Another $100,000 in revenue for Career Forge. The girl whose computer was stolen for shopping money was now running a company worth millions. The parents who'd enabled the theft were living in a one-bedroom apartment. The sister who'd done the stealing was proudly earning minimum wage. Justice, maybe. Growth, definitely. The plea for forgiveness had been heard. What to do with it remained to be seen. But for the first time since that morning, I'd found my desk empty. I felt the possibility of something beyond anger. Not reconciliation necessarily, but resolution. They'd faced their consequences, changed because of them, apologized without expectation. Maybe that was enough, maybe it wasn't. But at least it was honest. 1 year. That's how long it had been since I'd found my desk empty and my future uncertain. Now, sitting in Career Forge's actual office, we'd grown enough to need physical space. I could barely recognize the life I'd built from those ashes. Goldie the Times reporter is here, my assistant announced. The New York Times. They were doing a feature on young entrepreneurs who'd overcome unusual obstacles. My story had evolved from local interest piece to national inspiration. The reporter, Marcus Chen, was warm and prepared. I've read all the background, the Denver Post piece, your sister's blog, the court documents. I'm more interested in what comes next. How do you build healthy relationships after that kind of betrayal? It was the question I'd been grappling with for months. Carefully, I answered, with boundaries, with the understanding that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting and that family doesn't automatically mean safe. Your sister's blog suggests you two have had some contact. Limited, structured. We meet once a month for coffee in a public place. She's not allowed at my home or office. We don't discuss money except for her court payments. It's cordial. And your parents? Well, similar arrangement. They've proven through consistent action that they've changed. But change doesn't erase the past. We're building something new, not trying to repair what was broken. Marcus nodded, making notes. Madison wrote that she's 2 payments away from completing the court-ordered restitution. How does that feel? Like justice. She's worked for 2 years to pay back what she stole. Every payment was earned through actual labor. That matters more than the money itself. Speaking of money, Career Forge just closed a Series A funding round at a $50 million valuation. That's remarkable growth. We're solving a real problem. People need guidance navigating career challenges, especially when family support isn't available or is actively harmful. My personal experience informed the product, but our success comes from meeting genuine market need. The interview continued for another hour. Marcus was thorough but respectful, understanding which wounds had healed and which were simply well-managed scars. After he left, I walked through our office. 30 employees now, all building something meaningful. My head of engineering had escaped an abusive home. Our CFO had been disowned for choosing career over an arranged marriage. We'd unconsciously built a company of people who understood that sometimes family was the obstacle to overcome. My phone buzzed with a calendar reminder, monthly coffee with Madison. I almost canceled. The Times interview had dredged up difficult memories, but consistency mattered. Boundaries required maintenance. She was already at the coffee shop when I arrived, wearing her Starbucks manager uniform. The designer clothes were long gone, replaced with practical professional attire she'd bought with earned money. Busy day, I asked, settling across from her. Regional manager visit, but it went well. They're considering me for district trainer. That's great, Madison. Really? Thanks. I saw the Times guy leaving your building. Big article coming. Supposedly. We'll see how it turns out. She fidgeted with her cup. I wanted to tell you, next month's payment will be the last one. 4,900 down, 200 to go. I know. It's weird. I've been making these payments for so long, it feels strange to almost be done. Like, what happens to us then? Oh, what do you want to happen? I don't know. I can't undo the theft. Can't give you back the opportunities it cost you. But I also can't keep apologizing forever. At some point, I have to figure out how to be your sister who stole from you, but isn't defined by that forever. You write well about this stuff, better than you talk about it. She laughed a genuine sound. Writing gives me time to think. In person, I still fight the urge to make excuses, play victim. The blog keeps me honest. Your last post about encountering Mom at the grocery store was intense. You read that. I read them all. Know thy enemy, remember. Am I still your enemy? I considered the question. No, you're my sister who did an unforgivable thing, faced the consequences, and built a different person from the wreckage. I don't know what that makes us, but enemies, isn't it? Progress, she said softly. We talked for another 20 minutes about her community college classes, about Career Forge's growth, about everything except the ghost of a $3,800 computer that would always sit between us. That evening, I had dinner with Grace. At 85, she remained sharp and honest, my anchor through every storm. The Times piece will bring more attention, she warned. Are you ready for that? As ready as anyone can be for their family dysfunction to go viral again. It's not just dysfunction anymore, though. It's transformation, all of you in different ways. Forced transformation. If I hadn't held the boundaries, but you did. And look what grew from that. Your business, Madison's work ethic, your parents' actual acknowledgement of their failures. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for people is refuse to enable their worst impulses. My phone rang. Carl, my former manager who was now on Career Forge's advisory board. Goldie, sorry to bother you at dinner. Just got word. TechCrunch wants to do a feature. The angle of building a successful company after family financial betrayal is compelling. You interested? Let me think about it. Of course. But Goldie, your story matters. Not the drama, but the recovery. People need to see that you can rebuild after that kind of violation. After dinner, I walked home through downtown Denver. The city lights reflected off the windows of buildings where I'd once hustled for overtime hours to save for a computer. Now I pass billboards advertising Career Forge. The girl who'd paid unfair rent to unsupportive parents now employed 30 people in careers that paid actual living wages. My phone buzzed, a notification from the court system. Final payment received, case closed. I stared at the message. 2 years of payments complete. $5,100 returned in $200 increments. Justice served one barista shift at a time. Madison texted moments later. It's done. I know the money doesn't fix what I broke, but I need you to know every payment hurt. Not the money leaving, but remembering why I owed it. That hurt was important. It changed me. I didn't respond immediately. What was there to say? Thank you for paying me back for stealing my life. Congratulations on basic accountability. Instead, I pulled up her blog. She'd already posted about the final payment. Today, I made my last court-ordered payment to my sister. 2 years of minimum wage payments for a maximum stupidity crime. I stole her work computer for shopping money, got caught, got sued, got what I deserved. But here's what the court didn't order. I had to face who I was. An entitled brat who thought wanting meant deserving, who believed family meant free resources, who saw my sister's success as my personal fund. Whoa, every payment was a reminder. Every shift at jobs I once thought beneath me was a lesson. Every time I wanted to quit to beg for forgiveness without earning it, I remembered the empty desk where her dreams used to live. I'm not asking for forgiveness. Some things can't be forgiven, only outlived. But I'm grateful for the consequences that killed the person I was. She needed to die for me to live. To everyone defending me in the comments, stop. I was the villain in this story. The fact that I'm trying to be better doesn't erase that. It just means the story continues. To my sister, if you're reading this, thank you for the lawsuit. It saved my life. Now I get to find out who Madison is when she's not stealing from family, when she's not waiting for rescue, when she's just a person who works, pays her bills, and owns her choices. It's terrifying. It's also the first real thing I've ever done. The debt is paid. The person who created it is dead. Long live whoever I become next. I closed the blog and finally responded to her text. The money debt is paid. The trust debt will take a lifetime. Keep earning it. Every day, she replied. Every single day. That night, I sat in my home office looking at the computer setup that had replaced the stolen one. More powerful now, better protected, bought with earned money instead of scraped-together savings. The Times article would run next week. TechCrunch would follow. The story would evolve from family betrayal to entrepreneurial success. Madison would keep working, keep writing, keep becoming. My parents would continue their quiet life of actual accountability. And I would keep building. Career Forge would help thousands navigate their own career challenges. The technology my family tried to steal would multiply into opportunities they'd never imagined. The girl whose computer was sold for shopping money was gone, replaced by a CEO who understood that sometimes the worst things that happen become the foundation for the best things you build. My family stole my computer. I used its absence to build an empire. They'd call that poetic justice. I just called it Tuesday. The transformation was complete. What came next was whatever we chose to build from the honest acknowledgement of what we'd broken. For the first time in 2 years, that felt like enough. 5 years. That's how long it had taken to travel from an empty desk to this moment standing before 300 attendees at the Women in Tech conference preparing to deliver the keynote address. The journey felt both eternal and instant, like a dream I was still sometimes surprised to be living. Please welcome Goldie Patterson, founder and CEO of CareerForge, whose story of resilience has inspired thousands to overcome family financial abuse and build thriving careers. The applause washed over me as I took the stage. In the audience, I spotted familiar faces. Grace, now 90, but still sharp, sitting proudly in the front row. My leadership team from CareerForge scattered throughout, cheering louder than professionalism typically allowed, and there in the back corner trying to blend into the shadows, my parents and Madison. I hadn't invited them, but I hadn't banned them either. After 5 years, we'd reached a careful detente that allowed for presence without intimacy, acknowledgement without absolution. 5 years ago, I began. I stood in my childhood bedroom staring at an empty desk where my $3,800 computer had been. My parents had sold it while I was at work, giving the money to my sister for a shopping spree. In that moment, I thought my life was over. The audience was silent, absorbed. This story had been told in articles, podcasts, even a documentary, but hearing it from me in person still carried weight. I was wrong. My life wasn't over. It was beginning. I clicked to the first slide, a photo of that empty desk I'd had the presence of mind to take. This is what betrayal looks like. An empty space where dreams used to live. But here's what I learned: sometimes the empty spaces are exactly what we need. They force us to rebuild from scratch without the weight of other people's expectations or entitlements. The next slide showed CareerForge's homepage. 3 million users, offices in 12 cities, Series B funding at a $300 million valuation. I could have gotten stuck in the anger. Believe me, I had every right to be furious. My family didn't just steal my computer, they stole my trust, my security, my sense of belonging. But anger is a fuel that burns hot and fast. To build something lasting, you need a different energy source. You need purpose. I talked about boundaries, about the radical act of saying no to family dysfunction, about how my parents' theft had actually freed me from a lifetime of financial manipulation, about Madison's journey from entitled thief to responsible adult, chronicled in her blog that had become a book, then a speaking career of its own. My sister works for a nonprofit now, and I shared. She counsels young adults from wealthy families who struggle with entitlement and failure to launch. The girl who stole my computer for designer clothes now helps others understand why stealing from family is still stealing. In the back, I saw Madison wipe her eyes. We'd never be close, but we'd become something more valuable, honest. Our monthly coffees had evolved into quarterly dinners, always in public, always with clear boundaries, but with genuine conversation about who we'd become rather than who we'd been. My parents downsized their lives and upgraded their values. They volunteer with financial literacy programs, teaching other parents the dangers of enabling adult children. The people who once charged me rent while subsidizing my sister's shopping addiction now live simply and give generously to others. I clicked through slides of CareerForge's impact, testimonials from users who'd escaped toxic family situations, statistics on career growth for people without traditional support systems, the scholarship program we'd launched for victims of family financial abuse. But here's the real lesson, I said, moving to the final section. Forgiveness isn't what you think it is. The audience leaned in. Forgiveness isn't pretending the betrayal didn't happen. It's not resuming relationships as if trust was never broken. It's not even about the other person, really. Forgiveness is releasing the anger so you can use that energy to build something better. I forgave my family not because they deserved it, but because I deserved to be free from the weight of resentment. That didn't mean I removed boundaries or forgot the lessons. It meant I chose to see their betrayal as the push I needed to build my own life. I showed a photo from last Thanksgiving, not a family gathering. Those remained too fraught, but a chosen family celebration with Grace Tyler, my team from Career Forge, and the friends who'd supported me through the worst. Sometimes family isn't about blood. It's about the people who see your worth when others are calculating your value, who celebrate your success instead of trying to steal it, who respect your boundaries instead of demanding exceptions. The final slide appeared a photo of my current home office, 3 monitors, top-tier equipment, biometric locks, and security systems, but also photos of achievements of team celebrations of the life built from betrayal's ashes. That $3,800 computer my family stole. It was never just about the technology. It was about respect, about boundaries, about the fundamental truth that love doesn't entitle anyone to your resources without consent. By stealing my computer, my family gave me something worth far more: the clarity to see our dysfunction, the courage to leave it, and the motivation to build something they could never take away. They sold my present for shopping money. In return, I bought my future with boundaries and determination. I paused, looking out at the audience. Some were crying. Others were taking furious notes. A few were already pulling out phones likely to call their own families and set overdue boundaries. So here's my challenge to you. What empty desk are you staring at? What betrayal or setback or family dysfunction is holding you back? And more importantly, what will you build in that empty space? Your family might steal your computer, your trust, your sense of security, but they can only steal your future if you let them. Don't let them. Build anyway, succeed anyway, thrive anyway, not to prove them wrong, but to prove yourself right. You deserve success, safety, and relationships built on respect rather than exploitation. And if you're struggling to believe that, remember this: a 24-year-old girl once stood in front of an empty desk, convinced her life was over because her family stole her computer for shopping money. Today, she runs a company worth hundreds of millions, employs over 100 people, and helps thousands navigate career challenges every day. If I can build from that betrayal, you can build from yours. The applause was thunderous. People stood, some cheering, others wiping tears. I saw my parents in the back holding each other, perhaps finally understanding that my success wasn't despite them, but because I'd refused to let their choices define my limits. As I left the stage, Madison intercepted me in the wings. She struggled for words. Thank you for not pretending it didn't happen, for showing that growth comes from consequences, not excuses. You showed that yourself. Every blog post, every shift worked, every payment made. You wrote your own redemption story. With your lawsuit as the inciting incident, she laughed wetly, best thing that ever happened to me, getting sued by my sister. Weird family dynamics, I agreed. The weirdest, but real, finally real. Grace found us there, my 90-year-old truth teller who'd seen it all. Beautiful speech, sweetheart. You forgot one thing, though. What's that? The computer was never really gone. It multiplied. Every person you help, every career you enable, every boundary someone sets because of your story. That's your computer spreading across the world, building things that thief could never imagine. She was right as always. The stolen computer had become Career Forge, had become Madison's nonprofit work, had become my parents' financial literacy volunteering, had become thousands of people finding the courage to build despite betrayal. That evening, I hosted a reception for conference attendees. The questions came in waves. How do you maintain boundaries with family who've changed? What if they never acknowledge the harm? How do you know when to give second chances? I answered honestly. Boundaries were daily choices. Some family members never acknowledged harm, and that was their choice to live with. Second chances were earned through consistent action, not desperate words. But here's the most important thing. I told each person who asked, your success is not dependent on their apology. Your growth doesn't require their permission. Build your life as if they'll never understand, never apologize, never change. If they do, that's a bonus. If they don't, you've still built something amazing. As the evening wound down, I found myself on the conference center balcony, looking out over Denver's lights, the same city where I'd once scrambled for overtime to save for a computer, where I'd discovered an empty desk, where I'd rebuilt everything from nothing but determination and boundaries. Tyler joined me now, Career Forge's CTO and still my most trusted friend. Remember when you showed up at my place with boxes and a story about computer theft? Vaguely, I laughed. Feels like a lifetime ago. You were so angry, so hurt, but also so determined. I knew that night you'd build something incredible, just didn't know it would be this big. It had to be. Anything less would have meant they won. No, he corrected gently. Anything less would have meant you didn't fully believe in yourself. This was never about them. It was about you discovering what you were capable of when no one was holding you back. He was right. The theft had been the catalyst, but the growth was all mine. The success belonged to me and the team who'd built it alongside me. My family's betrayal was just the origin story, not the entire narrative. My phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me look. Ms. Patterson, I'm 17, and my parents just drained my college savings for my brother's wedding. I saw your speech online. How do I start over? How do I build from nothing? Please help. I smiled, typing back a response with resources guidance, and most importantly, hope. This was why I'd built Career Forge. Why I'd shared my story despite the pain of reliving it. Why boundaries and success mattered beyond personal satisfaction. Every person who learned they could build despite betrayal was another multiplication of that stolen computer, another empty desk becoming a launching pad, another family dysfunction transformed into individual triumph. The girl whose computer was sold for shopping money had become a woman who helped others rebuild from their own empty desks. The $3,800 my family stole had transformed into millions in value, created careers, launched lives, changed. They'd tried to steal my future for designer clothes. Instead, they'd funded a revolution in how people think about family boundaries and building success from betrayal. As I headed home that night, I passed the Starbucks, where Madison had once worked her court-ordered job. Through the window, I saw a young woman in a barista uniform, though, looking exhausted but determined. Maybe she was working off her own bad choices. Maybe she was saving for a dream others didn't believe in. Maybe she was just trying to survive. I thought about stopping sharing my story, offering hope, but she'd find her own path, just as I had. Just as Madison had, just as thousands of others were finding through Career Forge and similar resources. The life lesson was simple but profound. Your family can steal your possessions, but they can only steal your potential if you let them. Build anyway, succeed anyway, thrive anyway. And when you do share the story, not for revenge or recognition, but so others staring at their own empty desks know that emptiness is just space waiting to be filled with something better. My computer had been worth $3,800. The life I built from its absence priceless, and still growing one boundary, one success, one transformed life at a time. The story that began with theft would end with abundance. Not just financial, but emotional, professional, and relational abundance built on the solid foundation of self-respect and earned trust. And that foundation, no one could steal that, not for all the shopping sprees in the world. What would you do if your own family betrayed your trust and stole from you? Have you ever had to set firm boundaries with loved ones who took advantage of your success? Share your story in the comments below. Let's create a community of support for those who faced family financial abuse. And if this story resonated with you, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories of triumph over betrayal. Share this with someone who needs to hear that they can build something beautiful from their empty desk. Thank you for being part of our journey, and remember, your success belongs to you no matter who tries to claim it.